This is Winnipeg Sports Talk Daily with Andrew Hustler Paterson and Michael Remus.
Happy Friday, everybody, and welcome to Winnipeg Sports Talk Daily. Big show coming up. The Jets are not dead yet. Big win last night in St. Louis, and a little bit of help on the scoreboard. Not a ton. Certainly, we didn't. Expecting Vancouver to beat the Kings in LA probably was a little bit much, but losses by the Sharks, losses by the Preds, and should be interesting conversations today. Connor Hrabchak's going to join me in just a minute. We'll have Brandon Rewucki a little later on. We'll really focus in on both the Jets and the Philadelphia Flyers, who will be meeting tomorrow night at Canada Life Center. Looking forward to seeing all you WSTers up in Section 316 tomorrow night. And Ken Weeb's going to join us as well for more on the Jets and the playoff races around the Eastern Conference and the Western Conference in the NHL. A little later on, I mentioned this yesterday, we were really worried about our pal Lee Hacksaw Hamilton. The Saw was in it looked like a pretty serious car accident earlier this week or maybe last weekend, and I was not expecting we'd be talking to Saw for a bit. But like the warrior that he is, he says he is there for the O Canada network. So we'll get Hacksaw jumping on later on. We'll see how he's feeling, hit a little NFL and Major League Baseball, get his thoughts on these crazy playoff races in the National Hockey League. And then our guy Adam with Remus away. Unbelievable. We're going to be able to do the marble race. And before that, actually, we're going to hook up with Tara Maslowski, talk a little bit about the fire to our good friend Wayne of the Wayne's World fame, the best tailgate party in the Canadian Football League every year before the Labor Day Classic. GoFundMe to help them out, as well as details on the 1930 Crew Tour. We'd love to have you join us out to Labor Day for the weekend, so we'll fill you in on that as well. Should be a real fun show. But you know where we're starting off, the scoreboard watching and the win last night for the Winnipeg Jets. Just before we bring in Connor Hrabchak, let me thank all of the WST sponsors that make this show happen each and every day. Of course, our partners at CoolBet Canada, Princess Auto, Chud's Power Sports, Clean Line, Plumbing, Heating, and Electrical, as well as Manitoba Building Trades and the Manitoba Federation of Labor, Uptown Alley, Rolly's Transfer, St. Patel Dental Center, Manitoba Battery, Aikens Lake Wilderness Lodge, Breezy Bend, and Royal Sports, Boston Pizza, Little Brown Jug, and we will get to a why not question of the day for Not AutoCorp at Waverly and McGillivray. Welcome to everybody in chat, and shout out to all you podcast listeners joining us today. If you're with us on YouTube, make sure to hit that thumbs up button and make sure you're subscribed to the channel. Let's get Connor in here. Connor, I said yesterday, if the Jets could win and we saw the Preds and the Sharks and the Kings lose, we would be having a very interesting conversation. 3 out of 4 ain't bad. I'll tell you what, this game tomorrow night against Philly looms even larger right now after a pretty fun game and a great team performance by the Winnipeg Jets led by Josh Morrissey. How are you?
I'm doing great, Huss. Yeah, I'm sure we'll get into the nitty-gritty of how the Winnipeg Jets won that game, because it was certainly an impressive performance on the road against the St. Louis Blues, who have been just as hot since the Olympic break, which we outlined yesterday. But Huss, last night I was thinking during the game about something you said on the show a couple of months ago. The Jets beat the Panthers in regulation, and you came on the show and you said, well, you know, the Jets might not be great this year. They might not make the playoffs, but maybe that loss could be the reason the Panthers missed the playoffs or something. The TSN broadcast not working last night wasn't great, but when they went to the Blues broadcast for the third, and that broadcast was just so defeated in the final 2.5 minutes when they could not get into the Jet zone and their season is effectively over because of the Winnipeg Jets, it might be too little too late for the Jets, and we'll get into that, but that made me happy. I'll just leave
you know
it
what?
at that.
Exactly. Blues, after
Bye-bye. Yeah.
After getting their pound of flesh against Winnipeg in the first round and certainly tenderizing the team for the Stars. That's a good rivalry between those teams. Always fun to beat Binnington. And listen, I've said a million times over the past few months, like dating back to the middle of January, that I was sort of at peace with this season and had accepted the fact that this team, in all probability, was not going to be in the playoffs. They have earned the right back into the conversation. It is still an incredibly steep hill to climb, and there's a lot that needs to happen. First and foremost, they need to keep winning games. But I will say this. It's been impressive that this team hasn't folded, that they haven't quit. A lot of teams in the NHL, and we're seeing it right now in similar situations that the Jets have been, have completely packed it in. And listen, I totally understand the one side of things that, if that had happened a little earlier, we might be a lot more excited on draft day. But I will say this, if they had just folded after what had happened last year and the terrible start to the season, I think it would raise way more questions about, was the culture all just because they were winning games last year? Did they really fix everything? And you know what? I think the guys deserve a lot of credit for the way that they've been playing and the way that they've been going in, night out with their season on the line. Now, as someone's pointed out in chat, if this team decided to play like this a little bit more often in the first half of the season, we'd be talking about who the team is playing in the playoffs, but that isn't the case. So it looks like we're going to have meaningful hockey games in the final week of the season. I didn't think that was possible even 2 or 3 weeks ago. And to their credit, they're hanging in there. And it should be a pretty fun night at Canada Life Center tomorrow night when we drop the puck with the Flyers, who are equally desperate right now going into tomorrow's game.
Yeah, so Huss, we're at the point where the teams the Jets are playing down the stretch here, like Vegas and Utah, they're going to make it. Utah actually has officially clinched a playoff spot. San Jose, they might be out of it. This game for both teams on Saturday night is an absolutely massive one. You talk about Philly, they're at 92 points in the Metro in that third spot. New York and Columbus are each right on their tails, 1 point back. So this is a huge game for them to swing the momentum. And I know the Islanders play the Sens. That's another big game in the wild card race. And, the Oilers play the Kings. We'll be watching that one. Everyone will be cheering for the Oilers for the Winnipeg Jets playoff odds. Like you said, the Preds play the Wild. No games in the NHL tonight, so we can all take a breather, I guess. I don't know why there's no games on the last Friday of the NHL season, but the scoreboard watching is only going to ramp up starting Saturday because, man, on both sides of the bracket, East and West, there are some massive games. And Philly versus Winnipeg is a big game on both sides of the bracket, Huss.
You know what? I mean, we'll do the cool bet lines later on, and I'll get a number on this. But just before we went on with the show, I did send a message over to Jake and Pat to if they could please put together the Jets not dead yet parlay for tomorrow, which is a Jets win over Philly, an Oiler win over the Kings, and a Wild win over the Predators, all three of which are certainly possible.
For sure.
And if that were to happen, those three results, we'd be talking about a team that would be 1 point back of the Los Angeles Kings going into the final week of the season. The Jets have back-to-back games in Vegas and Utah. I mean, it is not going to be easy. I'll say this. If they get to the finish line, they'll absolutely have earned it because they haven't got a lot of help over this last little bit, those last 2 games notwithstanding. The Kings are still in that spot. And if they're able to get to the 16th, and that's a big if, that's 3 good teams in playoff spots right now that they're going to have to beat. It could make for a wild final couple days of the season. But bottom line was last night they went out, gave up the first goal. I thought Josh Morrissey, and he's done this before a few times, especially against St. Louis. We all remember that game where the Jets, was it a couple seasons ago, where Josh basically put the team on his back, told the crowd to get the F up, and they turned a 2-0 deficit into a 3-2 win. He did it offensively last night, and dare I say, he also made one of the saves of the year helping out Connor Hrabchak with that stick on, was it Holloway last night? Another big time game from one of your cornerstone players with their backs against the wall.
Yeah, Josh Morrissey was incredible last night. He saves a goal and then he scores a goal, getting his 14th of the season there, Huss, on the rebound. And that was one of those shifts, the Josh Morrissey goal, where the Jets are cycling. Josh Morrissey's even below the goal line. Like everyone's just, Mark Scheifele's up at the point on that goal. You know, that it's such an extended offensive zone shift and there's so many moving parts that the Jets are able to get not only a shot from the point cleanly, but also the rebound. Morrissey pounces on it. And you could tell from the first shift of the game for Josh Morrissey that he was feeling it. He was dancing guys to the blue line like we see him do all the time. He saves the goal in the first period. Arneal said after the game, yeah, that was certainly a breakdown, but a great play by Morrissey to get that back. And then he scores the goal himself. And in the Winnipeg Jets minutes last night, in their minutes with Josh Morrissey on the ice, I should say, they absolutely tilted it in their favor. They didn't spend much time in the defensive zone at all. And Josh Morrissey, a huge reason to do it that. And we keep saying the cliche down the stretch here, Huss, as the Jets continue to win games, that their best players need to be their best players. Well, Mark Scheifele, another couple points last night. Josh Morrissey, the best player on the ice, I'd argue, on both teams last night. Like the Jets' best players are showing up here down the stretch, and that's a good thing to have happening right now when you're in the middle of a playoff push, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned Mark Scheifele, a beautiful dish to Iafallo for the tying goal in the first period. He got the assist on Josh's go-ahead goal in the second period, and it is now 99 for 55, 1 point away from a 100-point season. And I mean, listen, the personal milestones should be secondary right now with the team still going on, but I will give a tip of the hat to the continued great play of Scheifele. Craig Button was just, he was having a hard time controlling himself talking about Scheifele between periods with how well that he's been playing.
Yeah. I mean, and it's like warranted right now because Mark Scheifele's playing out of his mind. Like we're looking at the points every single night. He's racking up multi-point game after multi-point game. And last night was no different. And that was a really nice play on the Alex Iafallo goal. He gets around Broberg, gets inside positioning, going to the net, tries to pass it back door to Fleury, sticks with it. And I was talking about this on the post game with Liz. Mark Scheifele makes those passes from below the goal line into the slot better than maybe anyone in the National Hockey League. He's one of the best passers in the NHL. That's why him and Kyle Connor score so many goals. Connor is one of the best players at finding that open space. Scheifele is one of the best at finding him and making that pass and making it on the tape. And this one was a backhand to Alex Iafallo, who roofed it. And then the Josh Morrissey goal we also talked about. But I see Phyllis in chat saying she loved Jonathan Toews' goal. How about that pass from Cole Perfetti on that goal? The one touch through like 4 sticks to a wide open Jonathan Toews back doors. The Jets went bang, bang. And then all of this wouldn't have been possible talking about a win today if we aren't talking about the Jets' defensive structure too, as they really did shut down the Blues in that game. And all of that really results in what was a very impressive performance by the team.
Yeah, correct me if I'm wrong. I think the high dangers were 10-4 for Winnipeg in the game last night. They really didn't give up a lot. Now, I would imagine the Morrissey save had to be a high danger. I mean, that was a pretty incredible play. And while we're talking, I mean, beautiful pass to Iafallo. The Perfetti pass to Jonathan Toews was amazing. I don't usually spend much time talking about the opposition, but how about that pass from Robert Thomas on the first St. Louis goal? That was, I had to watch it a couple times. You don't see guys that have that sort of awareness and the ability to just kind of move their stick around on the angle that he put it back to. That was as good of a pass as you'll see in the NHL. So, I mean, it wasn't like the Blues just completely laid down. They don't like the Jets very much. I think they did feel like if they could get that win last night, they'd be in the mix, and obviously started off with the go-ahead goal. But from there on, it was Jets, and that was, again, more frustration as to where this was earlier, but some of the best defensive structure we've seen in a long time. And all of a sudden you're seeing the Jets, winning the shot battle by double digits. And if you do that more often than not, like the Jets did last year, you're going to win your fair share of hockey games, which is what they're doing right now.
Exactly. And yeah, you get the miraculous play from Josh Morrissey to save that goal. But let's look at the last, 6 games for the Winnipeg Jets in terms of shots against. 22 last night against the Blues, 24 the Kraken game, 16 the Blue Jackets. They were struggling to get shots on goal beyond the Jets game, but still, you got to play the games. 21 against the Stars on the road, 21 against the Hawks, 23 on the road against the Avs in their win, and then the Avs game before that was 35. But these last 6 games, they haven't let a team above 25 shots on goal against. That defensive structure that we kind of got used to over the past couple of years that was so elite has returned, I think, at least for this little stretch of games here. And it's why the Winnipeg Jets are looking more and more like themselves. And you look at since the Olympic break, Huss, I was talking on yesterday's show that since the Olympic break, they're one of the best teams in the NHL, both the Jets and the Blues. Now with last night's win, the Jets are second in the West in points percentage since the Olympic break, but first in points, ahead of the Colorado Avalanche, ahead of the Blues. Second in points percentage, Colorado has played an extra game or has one extra game to go, something along those lines. But the Jets are right up there with the Avs, the Stars, the Blues since the Olympic break, and that defensive structure returning definitely has a big reason for that.
We'll hit Money Puck in a minute for the playoff odds, but just to wrap the conversation of last night's game, let's hear from the coach. Now, the Freep guys weren't there for the one-off game, but our friends at CJOB did talk to Scott Arneal after the game. Here's how Arnie saw his team's 3-2 win on the road in St. Louis.
We'll ask you, did your team do a real good job? Because this was a point of emphasis, and we talked about this morning, of taking away the middle of the ice on St. Louis.
Yeah, for the most part we did. There was some times where obviously they got inside, but first of all, I gotta, hats off to our penalty kill. I know we gave up one early, but our penalty kill was real solid in the second and the third there. Really needed to be, but we had mentioned about them being a real good rush team and transition that comes from them, and I just felt that we did a good job of trying to limit what we had. There were some times in the second where we got a little bit stubborn and we didn't get pucks deep and kind of fed that, but I think that all in all it was a real good road game in a building that that's been tough for us.
Scott, much has been made of playing with more pace since the Olympic break, but a couple of other things really stand out. Your ability to bounce back from giving up the first goal of the game, and also in terms of protecting leads in the third period. Is that just the confidence factor that's come back, or is there something more to it than that?
Well, I think that, that it's a 60-minute game, 60-plus minute game, and nothing's defined by if you get down a goal or you get up a goal. There's still an awful lot of hockey to play, and just in the third period, actually I take that back. Not just the third period. We're the guys are doing a good job of getting in shot lanes, taking hits to make the play, sacrificing when they have to, and that's all the stuff that kind of makes it hard on the opposition, and it kind of also sort of fires up our bench when guys are doing that stuff. And it's not just 5, 6, 7 guys. Everybody's doing it. They're in their own little way. They're contributing and helping battle and compete and and just staying in games like we've been doing.
And Scott, you mentioned the penalty kill. Gave hats off to them in your first answer. What specifically did you like about what they were able to do? Obviously, they come up with the big kill late in the third period, but really after giving up that first goal, they didn't really allow a whole lot.
Yeah, we went to get aggressive on the goal, and we left the middle open, which they were obviously trying to get it to. But I thought after that we didn't allow any of that stuff to really get inside there. The stuff that was coming from the outside, and did a good job with their sticks, with our lanes. The other side for me, we did a really good job on our clears. We had chances, especially in the third, but also in the second. There was times where those were 50-50 pucks, or guys were battling against 1 versus 2, and we were finding ways to get the puck and getting it down the ice. When you can do that, obviously it kills clock, and just got to compliment the guys for that.
Scott, Josh Morrissey was selected as the first star in a opposing building tonight because he was simply the best player on the ice. He scores his 14th goal of the year, but he also has a 1,000 save percentage. How about that save tonight?
Yeah, that was a breakdown, and obviously, great job by him getting to the net and staying with it. Not, obviously not letting it, just not giving up on the play. And that's kind of the stuff like what Kelly asked. It's all those little stuff, shot blocks, like one more play, to making that last little ditch effort like he did. And J-Mo was fantastic. He was skating tonight. Saw him in the offensive side, what he was doing, patience, holding on the puck. But I liked his battle in the D zone. Just his ability to close quick, using his feet. And he takes a lot of pride when how he plays without the puck, and I really like how he played tonight.
Kelly, you good?
I'm good. We're good with the coach. Yeah.
All right. Arnie, thanks a lot for your time. Congratulations on the victory.
All right. Thanks, fellas.
All
right. So there was Arnie hooking up with Paul, Mitch, and Kelly on OB after the game last night. And I'm glad we got to the end of that talking about Morrissey, because he clearly was the best player on the ice last night, was absolutely phenomenal. But Arnie did make a point of crediting the PK because, they did give up that one earlier, and I can't even fault them. As I said before, that pass by Robert Thomas was just so brilliant. I mean, that's a big-time player by a big-time play by a big-time NHLer. The quality of holding down that lead and the penalty kill in the final 2.5 minutes, while Josh was in the penalty box after a penalty he probably would like to have back, certainly at that timing. I don't want to say they bailed Josh out because he was the star of the game, but the PK came up when they needed it in spades.
Big time. And Huss, you remember on the show yesterday, I think I brought it up, the Jets had taken the least amount of penalties since the Olympic break in the National Hockey League, and then they go out and take 5. So maybe I'll just stop talking about all the things the Jets are good at. No, but their penalty differential is still first in the Olympic break. That's how much of a cushion they had separated in terms of penalties being taken. But to your point, like, the penalty kill didn't need to be great in a lot of the games previous because the Jets just weren't taking penalties. You go back to that Kraken game on Monday, Jets don't even take a penalty in that game and they win 6-2. And discipline's been a big part of this season or the turnaround for the Winnipeg Jets as of late. And last night, it wasn't there. 3 high sticking penalties, a too many men penalty. And the Winnipeg Jets, the Blues get that first one on an incredible play by Robert Thomas, like you said, Huss. But late in the game, especially where there's 2.5 minutes left. And for the first minute of that 2.5 minutes, St. Louis is on a power play, and then they pull the goalie to go 6-on-4. I'm not even sure if St. Louis got set up in the final 2 minutes. They definitely didn't get any good looks. Like, the penalty kill was all over it. So many great clears. Kepke was great. Sandberg was great. Time on ice leader for the Jets last night as well. So huge credit to the penalty kill. In a 1-goal game like that, it absolutely swings it. And that could have been a 3-point game. That could have gone to OT if the penalty kill wasn't as sharp as they were in that one.
So here's the way things look today for the playoff odds. The Jets moved to 12.6% to make the playoffs. Still a long shot. But as my buddy Greg just texted me, he's very positive right now. He's trying to manifest the positive vibes. He's like 12.5%, which is what that is. That's like calling 3 coin tosses in a row or 3 red or black in a row without the green 0 or 00 on a roulette wheel. So it is unlikely, but certainly possible. And a lot of this is going to hinge on a huge slate tomorrow in the National Hockey League. Now, I did just get our number back from the guys at CoolBet. When I just put it in itself, it was basically 5-1 for the Jets to beat Philly, for Minnesota to beat Nashville, and for the Oilers to beat the Kings. I think they boosted up to plus 552. But the Flyers come in tomorrow, and we'll talk about Philly coming up in a couple minutes with Rue. 44.5%. They'd won all those games. Tough loss against Detroit. They're still in a good spot. Nashville, as far as the West goes, though, the Kings are up to 66.9%. And a big part of that is the fact that they finish up with a 3-game road trip, albeit, but Seattle, Vancouver, and Calgary. It is mandatory the Oilers do the Jets a favor tomorrow night, I think, if they're going to win and get that. And certainly Edmonton has sort of been up and down all season long. They'll look to go in and avoid any possible playoff matchup again against the LA Kings by getting the job done before. But after the Kings, Nashville, with what happened last night, drops to 20.8%. Then you've got the Jets at 12.6%. Sharks, with their loss last night, moved down to 2.7%. And the Blues have a 0 beside their name. They will not be in the playoffs. So it's getting tight. 3 points behind the Kings, 2 points behind the Preds. But Connor, this is all going to come down to the Winnipeg Jets' ability, first and foremost, to beat a very hot Philly team that is in a similar situation tomorrow night. Hope for a little help and then get on the plane looking to get 4 points in a quick back-to-back Monday and Tuesday against Vegas and Utah, which is no small task.
No, absolutely not. And I'm excited to hear what Rewucki has to say about the Flyers, because they looked like a team that was dead in the water a couple weeks ago, a couple months ago, and they've completely turned their season around. And now they find themselves in a playoff spot, with tomorrow night's game being a big one for them too. But I was saying to you before we fired up the show, Huss, Mike McIntyre said a few weeks ago on this program that, if the Jets are going to make the playoffs, they're going to do it by being one of the hottest teams in the NHL, because that's what it's going to take to get there in the first place. Now we're here talking every single day about how basically every game is a must win. And you've got 3 playoff teams on the schedule coming up in Philly, Vegas, and Utah, and then San Jose to end the season, which again, that game could be a win and in for Winnipeg. We don't know how things are going to stand next Thursday, but that still reigns true. If the Winnipeg Jets are going to make the playoffs, they're going to have to do it by winning these final 4 games, and 3 of which are against playoff teams. And Philly's been one of the best teams in the NHL since the Olympic break. So it's a tall task ahead, but if the Jets can do it, I mean, you feel good about, well, you don't feel good going up against a team that clinched the President's Trophy last night in Colorado. But again, you don't feel in terms of, oh, they're just backing into wild card 2. They're doing it by being one of the best teams in the league since the Olympic break and beating some playoff teams along the way.
Yeah, I mean, listen, when you spot the rest of the league, the lead that the Jets did at one point being 32nd overall in the National Hockey League, it was going to take a lot of wins. And I mean, that big winning streak has never really come together at any point this season. I mean, if they run the table on their final 7 and get in, absolutely, there'll be a level of belief and there'll be some real momentum going in. I do worry. And again, I would love to have this worry if we're actually talking about a game 1 in Denver, which is a very big if, as we just went through the numbers. The worry, like, for instance, Columbus, they went on this big heater with Bones, but at a certain point, they sort of hit the wall. But the Winnipeg Jets would love to earn an opportunity to have people talking about that. It is not going to be a topic if they don't win tomorrow night and then get those points on the road before potential massive game. So funny. Next Thursday's game could either be a complete nothing burger, fan appreciation day, hey, whatever, it's the end of the season, or if they can take care of business, there's a good chance they could push it to the end. But there's work to be done. And as we said, Philly had that tough loss, I believe, to Detroit. Other than that, though, they have been nails. And that's a team that was on life support, left for dead. And yet here they are right now with a very, very good chance to stay, never mind in a wild card spot, stay in 3rd place in their division and set up, as we talked about yesterday, a pretty juicy potential first-round matchup with Sidney Crosby and their rival Pittsburgh Penguins.
Yeah, that would be must-see TV. I feel like I've seen that series back in the day when it was Crosby, Giroux, growing up, Marc-Andre Fleury in net for the Pittsburgh Penguins. Like that's been a series, been a rivalry forever. That would be so much fun to watch. So it's going to be interesting. This game's going to be awesome. Last Saturday night home game of the season. You got Philly coming in, who's hot. We just went over the importance of every single game for the Winnipeg Jets down the stretch here. It's going to be fun. It's going to be fun. I think it's going to be a great crowd. It's going to be a great atmosphere. I'm looking forward to it. These games, to the Winnipeg Jets' credit, now mean something. I didn't think that at the start of this week, or maybe even even a couple weeks ago, we'd be talking about games that have importance down the stretch, but here we are. And that Eastern Conference is just as bunched up as the West. But I think Huss, to close this out, looking at the West wildcard, LA, obviously they're in the spot right now. Jets are 3 points behind them. That's the biggest threat, of course. The thing is, LA too has a Charmin soft schedule, which we've said a number of times. The Oilers game tomorrow is their one really tough opponent. So like you said, that's a must lose for if you're a Winnipeg Jets fan, you're looking at the Kings to lose that one, because then I believe they get Vancouver, Calgary, and Seattle to end the season, which
on the road,
3 teams playing for nothing. All 3 on the road. Maybe they drop one, but yeah, definitely need the Kings to lose tomorrow. Definitely.
If it all comes together and we catch that parlay tomorrow of Jets, Minnesota, and Edmonton, the Jets will leapfrog Nashville, and they will be based on tiebreaker, and they'll be 1 point back of the Los Angeles Kings. And again, that would mean they only need to make up 1 point on LA for the rest of the year, because it has been well documented on this program. They don't win in regulation very often, and they don't win a tiebreaker against anybody. So that is, as I say, first off, win the game. The Kings-Oiler game is actually in the afternoon. It's a 3:00 start for our time. So be able to fire it up watching that game
Jets
beforehand and then move on to the main event tomorrow. All right, Connor, we'll talk to you a little bit later on. Rewucki is going to come and join us right away. We'll get to a Masters leaderboard update. I know he'll have some takes on the golf going on. We'll get ready for Jets and Philly as WST continues on a big Friday here on Winnipeg Sports Talk.
Hey, Bob, you hear the news?
I can't listen to the news, Daryl.
This is different.
Oh, it's so negative.
Not this time. Manitoba's got these new jobs agreements. And when the government builds things like new schools and hospitals, they'll hire Manitoba workers first.
Really?
Creating good jobs with union standards and more apprenticeships for Manitobans. And we'll get rid of those out-of-province license plates on job sites.
Keeping our money working for Manitobans, eh?
You betcha.
Well, that's how it should work.
I knew you'd like it.
A message from Manitoba's Building Trades and Federation of Labor.
Spring into good times at Uptown Alley and eat, drink, and play at the most fun spot in the city. You'll enjoy 5-pin bowling, 10-pin bowling, a state-of-the-art arcade, and good times playing laser tag as well. And in addition, Uptown Alley features incredible food and drink options at their bistro. Pop down to Uptown Alley with your group or make it a party. It's the best place in Winnipeg for birthday parties for kids, teens, or adults, and an amazing spot for corporate events where you just simply pick your activities, any of your add-ons, what you'd like to eat, and the Uptown Alley staff takes care of everything else. For more information, go to uptownalley.ca, book a lane at 488-0000, or pop down and see him at 1301 St. Matthews Avenue. Got a move coming up? Lean on our friends and longtime sponsors at Rolly's Transfer, the most trusted name in moving and storage in Manitoba. Now into their 7th decade with over 60 years of experience, family owned and operated. Head over to their website at rollys.com to find out all about their services serving Winnipeg and southern Manitoba. In the top right corner, you can click on Request an Estimate. Use the promo code WST for a special discount on moving services and moving supplies, and then simply let them know when you're moving, where you're moving to, and what needs to be moved. And the friendly staff at Rolly's will turn it around quickly and get you a great quote to get you locked in for the white glove treatment that they've been famous for now for over 60 years in Winnipeg. For all your moving needs, make it Rolly's Transfer, the most trusted name in the game. Find out more and request an estimate today on your next move at rollys.com. Has it been a minute since you've been to the dentist? If it is, our pal Dr. Terry and the wonderful staff at St. Vital Dental Center would love to see you. They've been taking care of generations of Winnipeggers and Manitobans in St. Vital for years, and have now moved into a beautiful new facility at 167 St. Anne's with state-of-the-art equipment and convenient free parking right behind the building. They'll handle customers and clients from 6 months to 99 plus with a full array of dental services, from cleanings and checkups to surgeries like dental implants. Dr. Terry and the gang can absolutely do it all. We'll do it with a smile on their face and make your smile look even better than it's ever been. Go to stvitaldental.ca online to make an appointment. Pop into St. Vital Dental, get that girl taken care of, and tell them the boys at Winnipeg Sports Talk sent you. All right, let's get Rewucki in here. We have a lot to talk about. We got a big game tomorrow night. We got playoff races in both conferences, and we got a defending Masters champion starting out hot in round 2. Brandon, what's going on, buddy? Welcome back to the program.
I'm doing good. How's it going over there on the best 4 days of the year?
It's been awesome. I mean, yesterday was so much fun. I mean, obviously did the show, watched the rest of the first round, went and caught up with our old fearless leader, Chris Brook, which was great to see. Chris, he said hi. Had a couple with him watching the end of the first round, and now we obviously went and locked in on the big Jets win, and then everything else happening around the league. So it was certainly it was fun. But listen, well, I want to get to the hockey with you, but I haven't even mentioned the Masters off the bat. I figured it'd be perfect to do it with you. First off, and I said this all week, like, is anyone's spidey senses tingling because no one is picking Rory McIlroy and his number had drifted up to 13-1? Like, are we staring the best number we're ever going to see of a player of his caliber at this event because we think that the champions dinner is going to take too much out of him? Well, the answer to that is yes. And he goes 5 under in the first round, birdie 2 and 3. He's at 7 under. How about the start for the defending champ when a lot of other guys that we thought would be in the mix have not really come with their best?
I don't get how 13-1 came to be there, because it seemed to be like the prevailing wisdom was, oh, he's got the monkey off his back. He's finally going to be mentally clear and good to go at Augusta. And that's what it looks like through about a day and a quarter so far. So I didn't really subscribe to that. I thought, to be honest, it was going to be, I never like betting on the big favorites to win, especially as, like there's not a big chunk of change coming your way there. But to me, it was going to be Rory and Scotty as one of the two inside the top 5 there. And then I had a few others that have not panned out whatsoever. But I thought for sure Rory would be in the mix here. And why wouldn't he be? He's been, I mean, we saw what he did last year. And I think just him swinging freely, playing freely, he is the favorite. As great as Scotty is, I think Rory is the favorite, and it's easy to say that now that he's up to 7 under through 3 or 4 holes today.
Yeah, that's exactly where we stand. So just quickly to give you an idea of where we're at right now, Rory's 7 under. He's playing the 4th. Tyrrell Hatton's had a monster round. He's 7 under. He was 2 over. He's got it to 5 under. He's on 18. Justin Rose, one of the members of my gentleman's parlay, with Rose, Tommy Fleetwood, and Hideki Matsuyama, all to be top 20. Looking good so far. Rosie is at 5 under, as is Sam Burns, who was yesterday tied with Rory. And then Wyndham Clark, great round today, 4 under. He's at 4. The bad guy, Patrick Reed's at 4. And then a group at 3, including Brooks. Brooks has had a great round today. He bogeyed 1. He's got it back to 3 under, so he'll be in the mix. Griffin, Kitayama, Lowry, Jay Day, and then a group at 2, including my guy, Akshay Bhatia and Xander Schauffele. So, and if you're wondering about Scotty Scheffler, he's been sort of up and down today. He's 1 over for his round. He's at 1 under playing the par 5 15th. So, it's going to be a fun afternoon. I think tomorrow's going to be phenomenal because I don't think, I mean, Rory puts up, and it's possible. I mean, if Rory goes 6 under today and has a 5 or 6 shot lead, maybe it won't be. But if Rory's anywhere between 7, 8 under with guys at 5, 4, and we'll see what happens in the afternoon, I think tomorrow should be really fun. And then we know they're going to have those Sunday pins, and guys will be firing at them. The great thing about this one, Brandon, is just the weather has been so perfect. And if you give them perfect conditions, the folks at Augusta National are going to set that course up for some fireworks.
Yeah, and we'll see, because yesterday was pretty tough in the afternoon, or at least the afternoon group scored not as hot as the morning crew. So we'll see. Like, I'm not going to be surprised. I mean, Rory can, but I'm not going to be surprised if we don't see a ton of low scores this afternoon. But yeah, Saturday, I mean, we all know moving days, maybe the best day of the year. Like it's as good as Sunday is. So yeah, Rory's kind of the unknown right now in terms of what he's going to do this round. But even if Scotty's at 1 or even gets it to 2 under, that's totally fine. Like you basically just want to be, I think, within 5 or so of the lead going into Saturday, and then that at least gives you a chance. You're going to have to shoot around in the 60s Saturday, but I don't think Scotty's out of it by any means, unless Rory goes totally nuclear today. Spieth has kind of been interesting to watch. That he's been obviously Spiethy in up and down, but I mean, you are seeing him start to make some shots and a putt here or there that kind of reminds you of the guy that was. So I'm not going to write him totally off just yet. Day and Rose, I think, are the guys I'm going to be cheering for the most, though. I mean, Rosie, we all know that's kind of self-explanatory, but just feels like Jason Day almost had a career taken from him. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like he was on the verge of superstardom when he won the PGA. And then as we, anybody that has back issues, the fact that he's playing at a decent level is remarkable. But
didn't he get vertigo as well too? Like he couldn't stand over putts.
Yeah, that's a good combo. No back and vertigo. But like he's in the mix. His outfits are goofy as hell, but like I would love to see Jason Day in one of the final pairings on Sunday.
I'm here for the Malbon guys. I love that stuff. It always cracks me up. I loved it last year where he wore the big baggy MC Hammer pants, and everyone was just so shocked. How will they let him on the course at Augusta National for it? Anyways, we'll pay attention to this all afternoon. Rory is the leader by 2 right now as we get into the program. Let's talk about last night. First off, Jets. And again, I mean, there's always the caveat right now is like, where the heck was this earlier? But it seems like they have bought back into their defensive structure. They're executing it well. Their best players, Mark Scheifele, Josh Morrissey, continue to deliver. And you can't put that E beside the Winnipeg Jets name just yet as they live to see another day heading into a massive game against the Flyers tomorrow night.
Yeah. We'll get into that one. But I think we all had the same sentiment after the game is like that. Nobody wants to say it out loud because, the playoffs are still an unlikelihood. But it was like that was the team from last year that played, right? Like it's kind of like maybe if they do get in, they might actually be a bit of a tough out against a Colorado team that hasn't really had anything to play for, basically, in a couple months. They've had first wrapped up for so long. So they were excellent. Josh Morrissey, it's the golden age of defensemen in the NHL, but there's some beauties all across the league. I don't know if you can show me 5 better than him. Like he really, really does it all for the Jets. And you take into who some of those other guys play with, like what he's able to do at both ends of the ice for Winnipeg it's really special. Like he's just a no doubt about it superstar on the back end. The Jets haven't really had to rely on Hellebuck to, play to what he did last year. Like you said they're playing good team hockey right now. And it's the superstars leading the way, but they're still getting a chip in here or there from further down the lineup. They're playing good. Like they're a good team right now. Problem is you didn't show up for 45 games this year. And that's typically what happens when you sit just outside the playoff line. And with the Kings schedule, it does still look unlikely, but I mean, all you can do is win the games that are ahead of you. And it just takes one slip up from LA to make this a much more interesting race. So, the tank crowd isn't going to like it, but as a team and as their outlook into next year, like if they play like this, that's a legitimate playoff team. It's the team we kind of expected going into this year.
Just before we get to tomorrow night, I meant to mention that this segment's brought to you by the Toyota Tacoma. With the standard I-Force engine boasting an impressive towing capacity of up to 6,400 pounds, it's the most powerful Tacoma ever. So whether you're hauling gear to the rink or heading to an away game, you can tackle it with ease. And when it's time to load up, the available power liftgate makes loading your gear in and out in a cinch. Experience power, capability, and convenience with the Toyota Tacoma. Visit shoptoyota.ca or your local Prairie Toyota dealer during red tag days from March through May. Yeah, Brandon, on that point, and I mean, I get it. It's been a tough week or a few weeks, basically, for people that were just thinking about the draft pick and then had completely struck in a line through the playoff hopes for the Jets. And to their credit, they haven't quit. They're playing hard. They're playing well, and they're getting wins. I mean, come Friday, depending on what happens, we will then get into the autopsy on where some of this was. But for the time being, I mean, it has been kind of a fun roller coaster ride. And the fact that we're going into the final week of the season with meaningful hockey still to be played is something. And I think you have to embrace. I mean, there's no other way around it. Another team in a very similar situation, albeit even a better situation than the Jets, is the Philadelphia Flyers. You follow this team really closely and have for years. Where did this come from? Because I can remember having you on this program, and it was almost a misery loves company segment where I was poking you about the fact that everyone wanted Tocchet fired already and Michkov doesn't play and all that. And now all of a sudden, here they are on the precipice of things go well to a first-round series with their arch rivals, the Pittsburgh Penguins. Where has this come from?
It's come from the Olympic break, because they were the worst team in hockey in January, and their season was pretty much done and dusted then, we had all thought, but they found a way to turn it around. It's remarkable. The funny thing, Huss, and this will, I'm sure Jets fans will like this, but the funny thing is, after the Olympic break, Rick Tocchet altered his lineup basically exactly how the fan base had been screaming from the rooftops to change how the lineups were situated. They gave Trevor Zegras basically, a free run at center. He's been at center down the middle this past 2-month stretch. They've been giving Michkov a little more power play time. And then they've gotten healthier. They've gotten Tyson Forster back unexpectedly here. And then Porter Martone has come out of college, and he might be their best forward already. So it is funny that, the fan base is like, we want this. They got it, and then the team just catches fire. But the always shocking part for Flyers fans is just what above average goaltending looks like. And it feels like Dan Vladar has played like Dominic Hasek this year, but it's like, hey, a guy stops 90% of the shots. That's a superstar to us. So yeah, they haven't done anything too special, but basically Danny Briere has almost done the reverse Chevy. All of his offseason moves have been A+. They've just nailed every single thing. And despite the worst special teams, quite possibly in the National Hockey League, they control their destiny still with 3 games to go.
Their final 3 games are not easy. They're coming in to face a Jets team that's on life support in a must-win situation. And then they do have back-to-backs Monday, Tuesday against the Hurricanes, who still are probably going to be playing, trying to lock down that number 1 seed, and then the Montreal Canadiens. So, by opponent, tomorrow, certainly by the standings, would be the softest game. And even that one, as we know with the way the Jets are playing right now and what they'll be playing for, won't be easy. Do you think that they will get in? And who worries you as far as the chasing teams, particularly in that division with the Islanders and Columbus still somewhat unlikely probably to get wild cards, but potentially getting in the 3-hole?
Yeah, I'm shocked that Columbus went into total free fall mode. Watching them a month ago, they looked like one of the better teams in hockey, and they
big time.
They can barely string together 2 passes now. So I'm not. Yeah, I wouldn't. I just don't know how Columbus could do a 180 with 3 games left. So that leaves the Islanders, who, thanks a lot for the Pete DeBoer coaching boost, right at the worst possible time for the rest of the teams chasing that final spot. And they've got a pretty easy schedule. They only have 3 games left here as well, but very, very winnable games for them. But it's weird because you face teams that are higher up in the standings, like you said, Carolina and Montreal. But there's a chance when whoever faces them in the final couple of games that they've locked themselves into a certain seed, and it's their final chance to give their big dogs some rest. So yeah, I'm not really sure how it's going to go. I do think Saturday is going to be the decider, though. I think if the Jets pull out the win against Philly, that'll be curtains for the Flyers. They lose every single tiebreaker against every team. So in a way, they really do need to win out. It might be the only way to guarantee that they do get in. So it's going to be tough. I do think it'll be between the Flyers and the Islanders for that final spot. Here's really
the Islanders' sked.
Or hiring happened a bit later.
Here's the Islanders' sked. They're at home for their final 3 games. Tomorrow they got Ottawa, who has been, their last 4 wins have been like they've covered the puck line against top teams. Then they get Montreal, who again, like tomorrow or Sunday, the Habs are still right there. It's likely that Buffalo, with the week that the Sabres have, win that division. And both Tampa and Montreal are going to be playing for home ice. And I think that's huge. I could see that series going 7. I was talking to Dustin on the lock shop. Like, if you're Tampa, you want home ice. If series goes the distance, can you imagine the Bell Center in a 7th game of Habs Lightning at the end? Not to mention a series that we know how many Quebecers are down in Florida. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if the Tampa crowd is at least 20% Montreal at any point on the road in that. But to me, home ice on what could be a long, super fun series actually really matters in this one. So I do think both Montreal and Tampa are going to be looking to win. And then the final game of the year for the Islanders is against Carolina. That could totally be a day where the Hurricanes potentially are resting a few of their guys. So to your point, Philly needs to take care of their own business.
Yeah. So that's a little bit disheartening to hear, but that's what it is, right? Like, if you would have asked anybody before the season started, 3 games left to go in the year, and if you win all 3, you're in, do you want to take it? It's not even a discussion. So it's all there in front of them. They've got an opportunity here. In a weird way, you could say the game against the Jets. I know the standings would say otherwise, but it could be the toughest of the 3 for Philly here. So from a Jets perspective, though, my suggestion in Saturday night's game would be basically go into it trying to play late 90s, early 2000s dead puck style obstruction hockey, because guess what? If you end up taking a couple power plays, there's a decent chance that the Jets outscore the Flyers on those. So I think if you want to turn this into a special teams battle, if you're Winnipeg, you like your chances in this game. So, I wonder if that's how they're going to play it. The other kind of intriguing part, too, would be with, again, from a Jets perspective, is we know the Jets want to make some level of improvements externally. I would say just keep an eye on guys like Owen Tippett and maybe even Rasmus Ristolainen. We know the Jets in the past poked around Ristolainen, but as a big dude to play beside Morrissey, he's done very well these last couple of weeks playing with Travis Sanheim, and they've held up pretty well as a top pairing for Philly. And Tippett, we'll see what happens with him, but he's a legit game breaker. Like, he's yet to score, I think, even 35, let alone 40 goals. But you watch him play, and when he's on, he's as good as anybody. The problem is there's a couple games where he's on, and then there's a lot where you don't hear his name too often. But just for people with an eye towards next year, those would be 2 names that I would maybe zero in on a little bit and make your own judgments if they might be a fit.
Tippett's been a real real consistent player for Philly. 27, 28, 20. He's got 28 this year, which is tied for a career high. A couple more, he could get 30 if he scores 2 in the final, and 51 points. And it's weird because he is a guy that's got, a bit of edge to him as well. Guy that I think a lot of teams would love to have. But yeah, we'll get a chance to see him tomorrow. I'm most looking forward to seeing what Martone looks like. We'll see Michkov, and but at the end of the day, I'm looking forward to seeing what the Jets have coming up. Their leaders have really been doing it. Just before we go, thoughts on the Morrissey game last night. Not only doing it offensively, but a save of the year candidate by a defenseman, not Connor Hrabchak. What a game by Josh. And then helped out by his own PK unit when he was in the box for 2 of the final 2.5 minutes.
Can we just talk about that last 2 minutes quickly? That's a 2-minute power play that might send the Blues into a deeper rebuild. I could not imagine that being the team I cheered for, and that's how our season ends. Where you can't even they couldn't even get close to attempting a shot. There was one point where Philip Broberg on the power play had to go 1-on-5 from his own end. Actually did pretty good, and then still had no one to pass. It was like, what is even happening? I was just laughing watching it from a Jets perspective, because initially you're like, oh crap, like please don't blow this, to good Lord, like we're going to just waltz our way through the easiest PK in history.
Yeah, that was not a great finish to that game for the Blues. But the Jets will take it. As I say, tomorrow the scoreboard watching begins. Well, for you, it'll begin at noon with that Islanders-Senators game. 3 o'clock, Oilers-Kings. 6 o'clock, Jets, Flyers. And then we'll see whether we get to the Wild Nashville game a little bit later on. Brandon, enjoy the Masters. Just to let you know, Rory hasn't stopped. 3 straight birdies. He's 8 under, playing the 5th hole right now. So maybe if we could just pump the brakes a little bit, Rory. Let's not run away with this thing on Friday of the Masters. You have a great weekend, my man. Enjoy the golf and, of course, the game tomorrow night.
Yeah, you too. Are you going to be down at the game Saturday?
Absolutely. It's our final WST game of the year.
All right. Well, let's schedule a little meetup at some point then, because I'll be down at the rink for the festivities.
100%. Are you in the upper or lower bowl?
Upper.
Perfect. Okay, well, listen, and I'll put this out to everyone because I just looked. We are sold out for the tickets, but we'll get there when you pop in. We'll be in usually that craft beer corner is where they set us up for a little kind of meet and greet beforehand. So section 310, but either 310 or the hangar in 316. Hangar in 316 for intermissions. Just that's kind of where we're at. So yeah, definitely come by, meet some of the peeps, and I'll have a couple of cold ones and see what happens in the game. Brandon, thanks for doing this.
Sounds good. We'll see you down there. Have a great weekend, everybody.
Good stuff. All right, there's Brandon Rewucki. Check out Skates and Plates wherever you get your all your podcasts. Speaking of podcasts, the brains of KNR. I said, what did I said to Sean earlier this week? The brains or the beauty, you be the judge. All I know is that the Jim Nantz of Winnipeg media has his Green Masters shirt on and is ready to go. Ken Weeb next on WST. Princess Auto is a proud sponsor of Winnipeg Sports Talk, in a lot of ways synonymous with Winnipeg. Headquartered here in the Peg, founded here in Winnipeg, and now serving Canadians coast to coast with the best deals on the most unique assortment of tools and equipment around. Everything you need to complete the projects on your list or start something new is at Princess Auto. So while we wait for the Bombers to kick off, get ready for spring. Those projects on your list with great deals throughout the month waiting for you at your local Princess Auto, Panet Road, Portage Avenue West in the city, out in Brandon. And you can always shop online 24 hours a day at princessauto.com. Spring is just around the corner, and our friends at Chud's Power Sports up in Gimli, Manitoba's power sports superstar, are ready to get this snow out of here. But before we do that, great end-of-season deals on sleds and snowmobiles that you can check out. But as we get excited for the snow to leave, great preseason deals on motorcycles of all brands, the best in ATVs and side-by-sides, not to mention golf carts for the summer up ahead as well. And it doesn't stop there. Amazing RV options for you to take advantage of the summer, and so many options when it comes to boats as well, in addition to outboard motors from Suzuki and Mercury. The best deals in town. That's how they've been in business as Manitoba's power sports superstore for 80 years. Pop out and see him in Gimli at the corner of Highway 8 and 231, and shop online today at their website at chudspowersports.com. April and spring are here, and Donnie and the gang at Manitoba Battery are kicking it off strong with their Spring Power event. Right now, you can save big on the batteries that you actually need this season. Lawn tractor batteries starting at just $37.50. RV and deep cycle batteries from $69.50, and heavy duty power like Group 27 and 78 DT starting at $89.50. Need serious cranking power? Check out their 13-inch stud post battery, $94.50 while supplies last. All in stock and all priced to move. Visit Manitoba Battery on the north side on Logan Avenue, on the south side on Dovercourt Drive, and get powered up for spring at Manitoba Battery, powering what matters. Check them out online today at manitobabattery.com. All right, about time to bring in Weber. But I kind of remind you all that Truck Month is on now at GMC. If you want something reliable, tough, and ready for whatever the schedule throws at you, that's the 2026 Sierra 1500 Pro Graphite Crew Cab in a nutshell. And it could be yours for 0% financing for 72 months with a factory 2-inch lift, off-road suspension, and a 5.3-liter V8. This is one ready for anything truck. Don't miss out. Get to your local GMC dealer and take advantage of Truck Month before it ends. Look at this guy, the green master shirt for a Friday visit on WST. What's up, Kenny? How are you?
Andrew, great to be with you. Not attempting a flex, but figure 'tis the season to be jolly, I guess, if you will, here. So had to bring it out.
Who were your picks? Who were your picks for the Masters? How are you looking?
No, Huss, I'm not faring super well in the WST pool here. It looks like tied for 49th here. My picks were Tommy Fleetwood, Cameron Young, Ludwig Aberg, Nick Taylor, Justin Thomas, Victor Hovland, Corey Connors, and Bryson DeChambeau. So gonna need some birdies here on the Friday afternoon in order to attempt to make a push in the pool here. But I'm chasing you right now.
I can't believe I, like so many, just said, "Oh, Rory's not going to do it again." He's been
same, yes,
brilliant. Just kicking myself. Speaking of kicking ourselves, we'll see if we're doing that in a few days, depending on what happens with the Winnipeg Jets. But credit where credit is due. Great team performance last night, led by their most important players. And while they may have been on life support for a few weeks, they're not willing to pull the plug on the season just yet. What did you think about the win in St. Louis last night?
Yeah, Huss, it was impressive. I mean, 5 out of 6 down the stretch against a bunch of teams that are most of those teams doing some chasing themselves or having something to play for. The fact they gave up 3 shots in the third period, yes, one of them is an odd man rush goal, I get it, but 3 shots against a team that's basically fighting for their own season as well and trying to push. The Jets got the boa constrictor back out, Huss. It was kind of reminiscent of the defense we've seen played for the better part of the previous 2.5 years, except for the stumble late down the stretch in year 1 of the Rick Bowness era. But yeah, I mean, the top guns kind of running out of superlatives here. I mean, Josh Morrissey scoring a big goal, saving another, which was probably equally important given the way that first period had been going. And Mark Scheifele, 2 more apples to get him to 99 points. Us, I mean, we both know the significance of that. I mean, only Marian Hossa did it in the 2.0 era, and in the 1.0 era, I went back and looked. I mean, it's Teemu Selanne in the wild rookie season. It's Dale Hrabchak 6 times, and it's Paul McLean once when riding the coattails of Dale Hrabchak in 84-85. So the fact that he's on the verge of a 100-point season is absolutely ludicrous in a lot of levels. He's tied for 5th in the NHL in scoring with David Pastrnak. And when you look at the guys above him, I mean, we're talking about elite players that are in the Hart Trophy conversation. So it's been impressive. And again, you can't ignore Kyle Connor's season either. I mean, he's got 89 points a year after getting 97. And the secondary scoring has come around us. And, a lot of the things the Jets are doing now are things that if they had been doing earlier, they wouldn't be in this predicament. Yes, they might be fighting for a spot, but they'd be the one being chased rather than being the team doing the chasing and hoping for help on the out-of-town scoreboard.
Well, and the irony is, I mean, I was listening to Mike Johnson earlier this week on TSN talk about this race, and he said that, when I look at this, I really do think that, the best team of these teams chasing is clearly the Winnipeg Jets. The problem is that their path to actually getting there is by far the most difficult based on what happened earlier in this season. But the only thing this team can do, as cliche as it is focus on the next game ahead. And we'll get to this game against Philly because it's massive for Winnipeg. It's also massive for the visitors. who find themselves, kind of doing what the Jets wanted to do and pulling themselves out of a real funk, getting on a roll, and getting into a playoff spot. But you mentioned Scheifele. The season he's had has been a special one. Josh Morrissey last night, though, for me, was the guy that really stood out. Doing it offensively and doing it defensively. Didn't think Hellebuck or Comrie would have competition for the save of the year, but you might have that. And listen, this is their best players. You mentioned Connor, Scheifele, Hellebuck's been solid for the most part, and now Josh Morrissey. These are the guys that have been dragging this team step by step closer to getting to their goal, albeit there's still a lot of road left.
Yeah, Hassan, I mean, it's not a paddle down on Devon Taves, but I think in terms of degree of difficulty as a defenseman standing still and trying to prevent Dylan Holloway from stuffing the puck home, Morrissey's ability and strength to get down and keep that puck from going out is right up there. I mean, it didn't save a gold medal, but man, in some ways it kept the season alive, Huss. So yeah, I mean, obviously impressive job by Morrissey. And again, we talk about seasons and that guys are having. I mean, if you look at the way Josh has come out of the break and basically trying to will his teammates into being involved. I mean, the disappointment of not being able to participate in the majority of the Olympics, missing the gold medal game again. Josh is a highly motivated individual as on the daily. But I mean, after going through some tough things, he'd love nothing more than to get the Jets into the playoffs here, and he's definitely done his part to do so. And that applies to, basically every player on that roster is finding a way to contribute, whether it's a blocked shot or a, pinch or a big hit along the boards or chipping the puck out and getting a big penalty kill. They've had, again, earlier this year, there were times where they had a few too many passengers. That hasn't been the case down the stretch here. Even though the ice time has been limited for some players, they've had a nice contribution throughout their lineup. And that was, again, evident on Thursday against the Blues.
Beautiful goal by Jonathan Taves on a sweet pass from Perfetti for the winner last night. I wanted to talk Taves with you. I know you wrote about this, but just thoughts on him being the Jets nominee for the Masterton Trophy. But the next part of that question is, what are your thoughts about his future, Ken? Do you think he comes back next year to play? And do you think there will be a spot for him with the Winnipeg Jets if he decides to do that?
Yeah, first and foremost, I mean, there's been some folks haven't, maybe they aren't familiar with the Masterton Award, which is handed out annually to a player that best exemplifies perseverance, dedication to hockey and sportsmanship. And I mean, if you look at the story of Taves and what he's battled through, we've talked about it plenty over the course of the year, Huss. I mean, you could say Gabe Landeskog is, to me, the only guy who's even in the conversation of having to overcome more just to get back to being an NHL player. And we understand that Jonathan isn't 2010 Jonathan Taves or 2020 Jonathan Taves, but for the award, I think that honestly he has the best chance of any Jet who's previously been nominated for the award of winning the actual award on the national level here. So it's impressive what he's been able to accomplish. Again, I think the fact that people are sort of dismissing the fact that he now has 11 goals as a 37-year-old who's about to turn 38 in the off season after 2.5 years off, I think is kind of silly. I mean, I understand that, even folks like myself, Huss, we're projecting more like 45 to 50 point season. But again, that's maybe on the players as much as anything, or as much on the prognosticators as anything else, because he's come back from something that no one's ever come back from, essentially, at that level with the long COVID and the things that he's been dealing with. In terms of his future, Huss, I mean, we're just doing our best to follow the breadcrumbs. Jonathan, has said that he's not going to make a decision till after the season. To me, I think that there's going to be a desire to play again. I think when he came back, I think he wanted to play more than 1 year as long as his body would allow him to do so. Jonathan was very candid in the interview with Murat and myself about some of the struggles he's endured just to be healthy and be in the lineup for every game this season so far. But I also see the joy in being an NHL player again and being on the ice and being in that routine is something that is sort of has been his identity for the good chunk of 2 decades. So I do think that he wants to play again. I do think that the Jets would be open to having him back. As it's obviously not going to be in that 2C role unless Jonathan raises his level significantly from this year. But I do think that between Barron, a healthier Lowry, and Taves, they could look at that again. They're always obviously going to look for an upgrade for the 2C spot, but I do think that there is a pathway to there being an extension for Taves if he wants to continue playing, if I am reading the tea leaves properly. But at the same time, we talked about it throughout us. The Jets still need to upgrade their top 6 forward group, whether that's by adding an impact winger, maybe somebody like Bobby McMahon, or somebody else in a trade that we're yet to see through the forest and the trees. But again, it'll be up to Jonathan. One thing I would have thought that if he has decided for sure that it's it for him, I would have expected to see his parents at the game in Chicago. Huss, at least to my knowledge, I don't think they were there when Jonathan made his return to Chicago in January. I saw his dad Brian at the morning skate, saw his mom at the game later on. So I would have expected them to be in the building. But again, at 37, soon to be 38, you'll decide and then see what happens from there. But I'm still expecting him to try to play again for at least one more season.
Yeah, I have to admit, just from listening to what he had to say earlier and kind of that, it makes sense and it's interesting. And this is the great Big J work that you do. I hadn't thought about, parents being at a game or anything like that, but I would imagine that if he had said, hey, you know what, this is my last couple times, he'd probably make a point of trying to be in the building. For those
given
ones.
what that
and here's
place has meant to him, right? Given what that city has meant to him, he was out there throwing out the first pitch at Wrigley. If it was a farewell tour, I'm not saying he'd be taking a lap like Anze Kopitar is, but I would have expected there to be a little bit more pomp and circumstance. And quite frankly, Jonathan was the guy who said he was quite happy for it to be a normal game after the pomp and circumstance that we saw in January. Even though he loved the ovation, he didn't particularly enjoy being the center of attention for a standing ovation that lasted that long.
Yeah, that was definitely an all-timer, but listen, one that's well-deserved. The other reason why I think I'm coming around to more to this being, a possibility, maybe not necessarily a likelihood, is that he really did, I think, embrace and come to grips with the role that maybe was outside of what he thought it would be at the start of the year when the results just simply weren't there. And I made this point earlier this week on the show, but I'll reset it for you. I think especially if they're going to try to integrate a Brad Lambert, a Zhilkin, a Chibrikov, a couple younger players in the lineup, I think there's massive benefits of being around and having a guy like Taves in the locker room at practice each and every day. The one caveat to all that is, at what point are you blocking a young player from playing consistently for a guy that might have 1 year left? And is that the right thing to do for the franchise?
Yeah, Huss, it's a fair question. I would counter by saying, if the Jets still believe that their window of contention is open, they're going to go with the more experienced player. Now, I'll bring something up to you that I think we might have talked about either on air or off air. In a season like next season, there might be some benefits to having Jonathan play more of a Corey Perry type of role, where maybe he's not an everyday player. Again, it's not for me to decide. It's for Scott Arneal to decide. But we've seen the results from someone like Corey Perry, who's been used sometimes in more of a load management situation, where you can still integrate. Maybe you're integrating a Danny Zhilkin on those nights when you're playing 3 games in 4 nights, trying to keep Jonathan fresh for the playoffs. But that just wasn't available to the Jets this year. And obviously Taves won and took pride in being in the lineup as often as he could. And again, I'm not saying he can't play all 84 games next year, but to your point, Huss, if Zhilkin is a guy who's knocking on the door for more playing time, maybe that's a way to get it done. You're still getting maybe 70-plus games for Taves. You're having Taves around guys like Cole Perfetti, who I think really has benefited Huss from having Taves around, especially going through the struggles that Cole did coming back from the injury where the offense wasn't coming easily. I agree with you. I think Brad Lambert is someone who could really benefit from being around Taves and the professionalism that he brings on a daily basis. So again, it's an interesting debate for sure. And again, at some point, players could pass you, but Those players still have to perform to a level that they're going to be certain to pass those players also, Huss. And, given what he brings on the leadership side and what he's done in the face-off circle, and I can see a spot for him. And again, I don't necessarily see Jonathan, going into the one-year contract with whatever team he thinks might be trying to win a Stanley Cup. I mean, the fact that he didn't leave at the deadline, potentially that he was invested in this team and wanted to help them make the playoffs, I think that kind of tells you where his headspace is at. And I think, there's some things he'd be disappointed with from this year, and he wanted this to help push this team over the top, not help them just squeeze into the playoffs. So that's a consideration as well. But again, let's see how the offseason unfolds after these next 4 games, and we'll get some clarity probably sooner than later, I would expect.
What have you thought about Brad Lambert now that he's had a nice extended run in the lineup?
Yeah, I think Brad Lambert's doing the things that Brad Lambert needed to do to force his way into the NHL earlier, Huss, quite frankly. And again, I've listened to you with some of the other guests this week, and I'm here to tell you, I mean, if Brad Lambert had scored a goal like the one that he scored earlier this week at the American League level, or had done that with some level of consistency, he would have kicked the door down 2 or 3 months ago. Again, so I understand the thought process as you see it once and you think, well, if he'd been in there all of the year, maybe he would have done it 10 times. But I think that Brad has done a really good job of adjusting his sights. I think there was obviously some disappointment for him. We heard about the trade request early in the year and all those things. I think Brad has put himself in a good headspace. I think he's really benefited from the fact that the Jets said at the deadline he would be up and staying for the rest of the year, rather than looking over his shoulder or wondering when the recall will come. He's done a really good job of doing the things that, that can make him an NHL player, Huss, and the things that he needed to do more of in the last couple of seasons where his, development kind of plateaued in a lot of ways. And I know a lot of people have a lot of theories, but I think the most important thing for Brad is that he's giving the organization hope and himself hope that he has the skill set to be an NHL player, and he could really provide a big boost to the middle 6 forward group, Huss, if he continues to use his speed, his shot, and his tenacity. I mean, the fact that he's added a bit of a physical element to his game in the last stretch of games here is really important for Brad. Could he become a 20-goal guy? If he can, that would be a massive development for a team that's in search of secondary scoring. But the most important thing is his compete level is high. He's worked hard at becoming a better two-way player. Again, he's not going to be on the Selke ballot anytime soon, but he's earned the trust of the coaching staff. And if he continues to use his speed, that's an element the Jets really need. And if he can shoot it like that, he's going to be a double-digit goal scorer for sure. And that's something every team could use.
Why do you think Lambert was called up and got the opportunity he did when he did? Like, was it just as simple as they needed bodies, there was injuries, and this was going to be the guy? Because, based on he had 6 goals in the American League this year, coming off a year where he had 7 in 61 games. It certainly wasn't the production at the AHL level that got it. Or was it just a matter of, listen, we need to figure this out because of where we're at in the standings. It makes sense for us to play some of these guys. Let's find out if he can do it now, because otherwise we'll be looking for other options as we go into the next season.
Yeah, combination of a lot of things, Huss. But again, we're trying to follow the breadcrumbs as best we can. What we know about Brad Lambert, no longer waivers exempt next year. So find out what you have right now before you either keep him or expose him. I think we talked a ton about the Jets needing to add speed to the lineup. Yeah, Walker Duehr brings a level of speed to the lineup, but not the same level as Brad Lambert, right? So he's a guy that they needed to find out what they had. And again, I understand some of the folks saying you should have tried him from the start of the year and let him keep rolling. But let's not forget he was there at the start of the year. Just the opportunities were a little bit more limited in terms of ice time. Again, I understand where those folks are coming from, Huss, but some of the impetus is on Brad as well. If Brad had been a double-digit goal scorer at the American League level, let's just put it this way, Huss. The Jets want Brad Lambert to succeed, and if he had been playing at a higher level earlier, he would have got a chance earlier. So I think it's important that he has done a good job since coming up, and I think that honestly, Brad Lambert is starting to show some of the signs of the player that the Jets really liked at 30th overall when he dipped in the draft standings. But now it's up to Brad to continue to play at a consistent level, be a dangerous player in important games, and continue to take his game to that next level, because as he's played with more skilled players, more of his skills are coming out.
I mean, listen, as I say, and this is probably more of a question for after the season when we're doing a breakdown and an autopsy on like a bunch of different levels of the organization, because I think it all needs, some scrutiny and evaluation. But it was very clear the second he got into the lineup that Sal Monson was a massive upgrade over the guys that were playing on the third pairing, whether it's Shen or the other guys there. The Sal Monson situation, with Arnie being very clear that this wasn't the plan, we weren't going to bring it up. It was an injury that got him up, and we see what he's meant to the team. This Lambert, we know the way this team has operated for a long time, and these guys that have been in their positions for a long time. Do you think there is a chance that maybe what they learned with Lambert, and especially the Sal Monson thing, might change the way they view similar situations in the future? Or do you think it'll still be business as usual, and maybe if someone gets hurt, they'll find out a guy that can play earlier than they had planned?
Yeah, I mean, we talked about this before. I mean, it's Jets want their draft picks to succeed. I mean, everyone who drafts a player wants those guys to work out. So the timing doesn't always line up with the way the fans want it to, or the way that the players want it to. I mean, having covered the American League for close to 10 years, those guys always think they're ready earlier. We understand that sometimes the Jets certainly have the reputation for over-ripening some of those prospects. But again, I always say this: every coach wants a player that can contribute. I totally understand where fans are coming from. Gus Nyquist obviously didn't work out. So the thinking is that, well, if Nyquist has 1 goal, Lambert already has 3, so maybe he has 12. I mean, like, I totally understand that. But again, if we go back to it, I don't know that Brad Lambert outplayed Gus Nyquist at the start of the year in order to earn more of those minutes. That's unfortunate for Brad, but Brad is obviously in the lineup now when the games matter most, so you would have liked to have seen a longer runway of Brad Lambert. So again, we can't push pause and rewind and insert Lambert at game 50 and hope that it was the thing that sparked the Jets. Now, Lambert is doing his part, and that's a credit to him. Sal Monson has done an excellent job since coming up, Huss. And I do think that, I've said this on the show before, and I'm going to say it again. The benefits for Sal Monson being a 25-minute-a-game player rather than being a 12-minute-a-game player on the third pairing, there's value to that today and going forward. Now, again, I also understand the folks that are saying if you'd had Sal Monson in the whole time, maybe you get those extra 3 points and you're not chasing the LA Kings. So definitely the Jets are going to look at that. But again, I think that those guys are, Sal Monson especially, Huss, he is the exception to the rule. It's not like the Jets have 10 guys that are ready to play in the NHL that are knocking on the door that are being ignored here either.
Just while we're talking about the Moose, like obviously the last 2 seasons were miserable. They made some big offseason ads to try to make it a real competitive team. And to their credit, they've made the playoffs. But this team cannot score. I mean, they got pumped 7-0 on Wednesday night by Milwaukee, who they'll likely play in a best of 3. They put up 16 shots, shut out. I don't know how many times they've been shut out this year, but it's plenty. And then obviously there was the questions about Lambert. But even the guys like Figimo, DiGiuseppe that have scored at a high level that aren't doing, like, just what are your thoughts on what's happening with the Moose? And do you think might be a real area that they kind of dive into in the offseason based not only on what that's doing for the prospects that are there, which is probably the number one concern to the big club, but also just the general competitiveness of the team?
Yeah, I mean, Huss, it's an interesting debate also, right? Because you want the top prospects to play a lot, but you also want them to earn their ice time, be in a positive environment, and bringing in veteran guys, is an important part of that process for some organizations, and the Jets obviously put a big value on it. But there's also something that happens in the American League where sometimes those veterans aren't getting the call-ups that they think they deserve. Maybe a guy thinks he's playing better than Brad Lambert, and why isn't he getting the recall to the big club? Or like Chibrikov, how come I haven't got a chance to go back up there? So the minor league hockey is a really interesting thing, Huss, and sometimes you catch lightning in a bottle. With whether it's guys that are free agents or draft picks, or sometimes the value of winning at the Calder Cup level is interesting, because sometimes teams have 5 or 6 guys who all make the jump within a 2-year period. Maybe they went on a 4-round run, and we saw it with the Vancouver Canucks. I mean, some of their prospects that were involved in the Calder Cup run, Corey Schneider, guys like that, in the Calder Cup run against Hershey when they lost in 6 games, they graduate, right? And sometimes they go up together. And when you win together, there's a strong bond when you make it to the NHL. But, the Jets haven't graduated multiple players at the same time over the course of time. There just haven't been a lot of openings in the last few years. So, there's always a debate, right? Do you want to run it like the Chicago Wolves and lean on your veterans in the old days? Or do you want to kind of integrate? I think the Jets tried to insulate their young players. And I think some of those young players have had great seasons and some of them have stalled a bit. But again, I don't know that it's necessary. I haven't seen the Moose enough Huss to weigh in and say, oh my God, I can't believe this guy is only playing that much. Because one thing that I noticed on social media, Huss, and I know you noticed too, is when people see, Colby Barlow's on the 4th line, how can this be happening? This guy's supposed to be a prospect. Why is he on the 4th line? I mean, to me, I don't really care how guys get listed on the depth chart going into games. It matters how they're playing, who they're playing with, and maybe what responsibilities they have. Are they playing on the power play? Are they being used on the penalty kill? And those sorts of things. So again, I don't pretend to. I haven't seen the Moose play this year, Huss, so I can't weigh in on ice time allotment or how they're handling it. But again, I think we talked in the summertime, after not having guys who have produced offense at that level, bringing in some veteran guys like Di Giuseppe, who just won the Calder Cup in Abbotsford the year before, and bringing back Captain Mason Shaw, bringing in Fagemo, the guy who's been a prolific scorer at that level, to me made sense because you wanted to have a trigger man to play with Braden Yager. You wanted to have a guy who could maybe help Colby Barlow and show him the ropes. So again, we understand everyone wants things to happen in fast forward time, Huss. Let's just see how those guys develop. I think Yager's had a pretty solid year. Barlow's obviously got some work to do. But after that, let's sort of see where things are at as they show up to camp next year. Because, Huss, the wild part is 2 years ago, Barlow didn't have a great camp. The year after, I thought he actually moved pretty well this year. He was skating well, but it hasn't translated into success. But when you're a guy who has an elite shot, sometimes it takes a year to get going. I mean, let's not forget, lots of people are wondering, well, where's Josh Morrissey after he spent a year with the Manitoba Moose and all of a sudden he came up and was a dominant force, right? So we got to give some of these things some time.
Yeah, well, hopefully. I mean, there's obvious concerns when you have a guy that's first round pick that's known for scoring goals that has 4 and 60. But as I say, this will all be conversations for a little bit later on. Weber, it's a good thing we spend as long as time talking with the Jets because I was going to ask you what your boy Mike Vrabel's been up to, but I'll do that with Hacksaw coming up next. You have a wonderful weekend. Enjoy the Masters and what should be a great game tomorrow night between 2 desperate hockey clubs at Canada Life Center.
Thanks for having me as always, Huss. Enjoy the weekend of golf and enjoy the hockey as well. I know you got a big meetup on the weekend here, so it should be fun to see those podcast folks getting together.
You bet, pal. Have a great one. We'll talk to you soon.
Sure.
All right. There is the one and only Ken Weeb at Weeb's World coming up. Obviously, Jets off today, getting ready for the big one tomorrow, and then a flight out to Vegas and Utah on Monday and Tuesday. We are going to hit the NFL notebook. We'll give you a Masters update as well before the top of the show. We've got a little information on the Labor Day Classic trip and the GoFundMe for the owner of the legendary Wayne's World tailgate out in Regina. But our guy, Hacksaw Hamilton, I thought he might be on the DL for a little bit. He is so dedicated to the O Canada network, despite being in a pretty significant fender bender. He will join us coming up in just a minute right here on Winnipeg Sports Talk Next. WST would like to thank our friends at Cleanline Plumbing, Heating, and Electrical for their support of Winnipeg Sports Talk throughout the Jet season. When we're doing the Winnipeg Jet lines, we do it with the gang at Cleanline, who are the leaders in Winnipeg residential and commercial plumbing, heating, and electrical services. Your one-stop shop with over 40 years of experience. And like the captain, Adam Lowry, has the back of his teammates, Cleanline has yours with 24/7 emergency services. So when you're in a jam at any time of the day, Cleanline has you covered. 204-500-2001 is the number. Write that one down, 204-500-2001 for 24/7 emergency services. from the official plumbing service of the Winnipeg Jets. You can find out more online at cleanline.ca. Well, it's time to get ready for spring with our friends at Royal Sports, Winnipeg's sports superstore, family-owned and operated for over 50 years. And as we get the snow out of here, it is time to get back on the pitch. Royal is the soccer headquarters in town with more boots than you've ever seen. Not to mention great soccer merch from teams and nations around the world. Of course, we got baseball and slow pitch season coming up. They'll get you ready with gloves, bats, everything you need to dominate on it. Of course, they've still got hockey gear, snowboarding gear for those of you making the trip out for spring break, and the best selection of licensed merchandise for fans of the NHL, National Football League, NBA, and of course, Major League Baseball with Blue Jays season just around the corner. Royal Sports, 750 Pembina Highway. You got to see it to believe it. Get down there today and make sure to follow them on Instagram at Royal Sports Winnipeg for the latest merchandise drops and sale information. We still do have plenty of games to get to for the Winnipeg Jets season, and with many on the road, no better place to get together with your gang to watch the squad than your local Boston Pizza. Ice cold schooners, world famous BP wings, gourmet pizzas, and of course, Winnipeg Jets pick a player contest where you can win great prizes from BP every time the Winnipeg Jets score. So for the next game or the big game on the TV, head on down to Boston Pizza at your local BP location. Buckle up, and of course, if you are staying at home, you can get the great taste of Boston Pizza by ordering online at bostonpizza.com. All right, much more to come on WST, but first, a big shout out to our friends at Winnipeg's favorite local brewery, Little Brown Jug.
You train day in and day out, learning new techniques, approaching new concepts, and living out the thrill of achieving your goals. Building a craft beer is no different. While you spend your hours on the ice, we spend ours here, brewing our trademark beer. Again, and again. Here's to pushing the status quo and challenging ourselves to build something memorable. 1919 by Little Brown Jug.
All right, let's welcome in our guy, Lee Hacksaw Hamilton, who is on the mend. So happy that you are able to join us today. We're always appreciative of your time, but how are you feeling? What the heck happened? Oh, hold on a sec. We got you muted. Is that mute on your end or on ours? Adam, any thoughts on that? Or do we need him to pop out and pop back in? Tell you what, Hacksaw, if you can, pop out and pop back in. Hopefully we'll be able to hear you that time. We just weren't getting on. Yes, to update you all, earlier in the week, saw a tweet from the SAW with the aftermath of a traffic accident that the car was in very, very bad shape. And he said that there was going to be some R&R afterwards. So I was not thinking that we would have a visit from Hacksaw. But it is great to have him on. Let's see if we can hear you now, Lee. How are you?
I am here. Are you there? No.
We are here. What the heck happened, and how are you doing?
I'm hanging in there. Hour by hour is tough. The summary is that I was on my way to the TV station Saturday morning at 4:30 a.m. and I got caught up in a multiple car tractor trailer crash, and I hit a car broadside that was abandoned. No lights on the highway. No nothing. No flares, and got nailed by the airbag. By the grace of God, nothing came through my windshield, but my car was absolutely totaled. And I was really stunned, and I got trapped in the car. And all I know is at the end of the day, I never signed up. I don't ever recall want to be a NASCAR driver on my bucket list. But it was scary. It was tough. And it's the first accident I've had in 50 years. It was just absolutely stunning, and it was out of control. I mean, it was right there in front of me. I looked to the right. I saw two tractor trailer trucks with their lights blinking. I looked back, and there was a car right in front of me, broadside, no lights, abandoned, and bingo. So it's taken me this whole week to try to get my bearings, and some hours are good, some hours are bad. But I just decided to do the old Canada Network. I just taped a Tylenol to my shoulder and my chest, and here we are.
What a warrior you are. And listen, so much, Greg M. Darn glad you were okay. So glad Hacksaw is doing okay. Lots of saws in the chat right now. So lots of love for you from all of us here on Winnipeg Sports Talk. Lee,
before you start the subjects, I'll give you one side story. Obviously, I've gotten a lot of reaction on X and social media and followers from up there and up and down the West Coast. One of the best ones was, I must tell you that background, my oldest son is a priest. So I think the guy in heaven probably gave me a discount on this one because my son's a priest.
A family discount. Well, listen, that is great. And yeah, tons of thoughts and the best wishes for a speedy recovery. Listen, I mean, I want to get to a few stories in the NFL. It's kind of funny that there is, the Athletic New York Times they've got an interesting spot in the media space in that they're not partners with the National Football League, but quite the hatchet job on Raiders ownership coming out of the NYT. What's the latest on what's happening in Vegas?
Well, this is quite I don't know if I want to call it character assassination, but at the end of the day, they're reporting facts. They're reporting people from within, and it's really a condemnation of what Raider football has become. You and I have talked in the past just about the dysfunction of Raider football dating all the way back to the year 2002. Mark Davis is not Al Davis. Mark Davis, you are not your father from a football standpoint. I had done research, and the Raiders' composite record since 2002 is 131 wins and 232 losses. And they have not won a playoff game since 2002. So you factor that in. And then you look at all the coaches they've hired, they've fired, all the general managers Mark Davis has brought in, then discounted. And then New York Times and The Athletic did this unbelievable in-depth piece about John Gruden, which really set this franchise off on a really bad track. And they just hammered him. And with all of John Gruden's draft picks and wreckage left behind when he was forced to resign, they're 50-83, and they virtually have no roster of talent, really. And now they've started this massive rebuild under the guidance of Tom Brady. But the condemnation of John Gruden is that he refused to coach the team. He refused to develop players. He blew 9 draft picks over a 3-year span. All of them are really high draft picks. He traded away Khalil Mack. He traded away Amari Cooper. He brought in Antonio Brown. And the exclamation was what an S show Antonio Brown was, and he never played it down. This was all Gruden's doing. And one of the insiders told the New York Times that John Gruden coveted players, veteran players, guys who had been Pro Bowlers 8 years ago who couldn't play any longer. And those are the kind of guys he wanted in because those were the kind of guys he knew. I mean, it was just a real chop job on John Gruden. And, of course, Gruden's embroiled now in a big lawsuit against the National Football League. But I think, the arrow points to the top, Mark Davis, and just the absolute dysfunction. And, the insinuation from within, from ex-people that work there is Mark Davis knows nothing about football. He's just a fan. He knows nothing about it. And it's just a terribly dysfunction operation. So we'll see if Tom Brady can lead them out of the wilderness. But, boy, they've been in the wilderness since 2002. And I'll be honest with you, I read the column late last night, and I said, my head was spinning. But I'm close to the NFL. I'll follow this. I worked in it. I understand what's happened there. But somebody finally called them up publicly nationwide. Wow.
So, listen, while you mentioned The Athletic, this is the biggest story around that is, what did you think when you saw the reports of Mike Vrabel canoodling around at an adults-only hotel with The Athletic's Diana Rossini? And at the same point, my second half of the question is, why has no one else talked about that? ESPN buried it, nowhere there. Obviously, The Athletic, it's a head coach. It's one of the lead journalists, one that's been on his beat going back to his time in Tennessee. Asked a lot of questions. I've been shocked that it has been not discussed more in NFL circles because of everything around it? Where you've got the experience, fill us in.
Well, I look at it from two street corners. One street corner says, yeah, I guess there is, some photography there that points them together with friends, etc. The Athletic did respond the other day by indicating there's no truth to the story about a relationship. They're just really close friends. Okay. Both Vrabel and Rossini have denied it. Granted, they're married, they have kids, etc. But at the end of the day, is it a really important story? Is it a really big story? I mean, I guess people have affairs and get divorces all the time. So I don't know how big a scandal story it is. It's more TMZ than it is anything else. And is it really important in the big picture of things? I don't know. It's weird.
Let me ask you
it's
this.
really weird.
Well, it is, but the whole thing is like, think about Rossini's been the person that has been ahead of everyone else on the AJ Brown news all last year. I mean, she was the one that's saying, hey, AJ Brown, it's dysfunctional, can't wait to get out of there, and kept on tying him to the New England Patriots. And, there's a lot of smoke that, when people are kind of seeing what looks like a relationship beyond normal head coach and reporter, wondering, is Mike Vrabel using Rossini, or has that been in part to put pressure on other front offices and get certain things out there? I'm not sure whether that matters, but I'm just fascinated, not being a professional journalist, as to if this was somebody else with Mike Vrabel on that, or another journalist with someone else that maybe didn't have those same ties, whether it would be discussed more or not at all.
Good question. In our industry, there's protocols about who you have relationships with, dating and all that. And that's it. The protocols that I've crossed paths with are working in the media, that you don't get involved with somebody that is a working partner. Maybe that's old school, it's old fashioned, I don't know. But in terms of a league executive, in terms of a professional person, a coach, with somebody in the media, that's different. It's probably happened before. So I guess I spin back to, is it really important? To me, what's important is the NFL draft and free agency, players coming back from injuries. I don't know how many people out there outside of the TMC aficionados really care about who's having a relationship with whom, unless it's a scandal, unless it's domestic abuse and things of that nature. So I don't know. That's where I draw my line. You'd have to tell me where you draw a line, your line.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I, like a lot of people, was sort of like, holy smokes, when I saw it. And then, the one thing I think we can all count on for sure, there was probably a couple of tough days in the Vrabel and Rossini households in the aftermath of that thing coming out. I can tell you that.
Well, it's kind of hard to determine what's fact and what's really fiction. We don't really know.
Well, and especially today. The thing was, it looked like, those photos, that wasn't just someone flipping out their iPhone. That looked like a private investigator that was setting up shop to take them down. So again, there's probably way more to it. But it doesn't seem like there's a lot of reporting on that. Anyways, moving on, before we go, you mentioned the draft. Sounds like Fernando Mendoza is going to be the number one pick. And, we'll have a little bit more on just how things are shaking out, potential trades. But as we get to the draft, the biggest story actually seemingly involves the officials. We are not going down the road of replacement refs again, are we, Lee? What's the latest on that?
Well, they are negotiating, and I was told today that Jerry Jones has now entered the negotiations. And Jones has been, to a degree, kind of outspoken that we really need to have upgrades financially for these guys, because these guys play important roles in officiating the games, and we need to take care of them. Now, Jones has not gone public and said we need to make them full-time employees, but he wants upgrades in pension, and he wants upgrades in money given to these guys, etc. So maybe, I'm not going to say he's a pro-union guy here, but I think I was told he's been being brought in as kind of an outside idea man to try to get this done. These are pressure points. The NFL just announced yesterday they're hiring 150 college guys to come in. and they're going to start training in the last week of April, right after the draft. And on June 1st, they will assign them to all the NFL teams' OTA workouts if there's not a new collective bargaining agreement. So I think there's a little bit of pressure point here by the NFL by doing this. We've walked down this highway before. We've had backup refs. I don't want to see backup refs. These are the best refs in the world, whether you like them, all their calls or not. They got to solve it. They need to take care of these guys. And at this point, the union's of the opinion you guys have not paid us the kind of money that these quality people who are part of this game need to be taken care of. So do it. So I think by opening day, I think we're going to have an agreement where we have replacement reps in preseason. Anything's possible, but these things always go right down to the bitter nub, and then they get done. For the good of the game, keep these guys, pay these guys. These guys are damn good.
Lee Hacksaw Hamilton with us on Winnipeg Sports Talk. Stay tuned. We'll get the Marbles registration open in just a minute. Look for the prompt in the chat. So I have to admit, it's the off season, which means we get ready for the draft. And if you're a fan of an NFL team, you're just hoping there's no knuckleheads on your team that are getting into trouble in the off season. Now, as a Chiefs guy, we had plenty of that over the last couple of years with Rashee Rice. I have to admit, I was pleasantly surprised that it doesn't sound like he's going to be in any trouble. He's been gone, but he's certainly not the only one that was under the watch of the National Football League. Who's putting their upcoming season in peril right now?
Well, I'll just do a quick jump around the roadmap. Out here on the West Coast, this is a story that I really feared there was something going on. Puka Nacua, the outstanding wide receiver of the Los Angeles Rams, he's got over 300 receptions in his last 3 years. He's got 1 year left on his contract, and he's due for a big payday. He's entered a rehab center. Now, I don't know whether he's got alcohol issues, whether he's just made a lot of bad decisions running the streets. He's done some anti-Semitic stuff. There's been alcohol involved. I don't know whether he's running with a bad posse, a group of people, or whether this might be concussion related. But the way he's acted since New Year's is really, really strange. And his agent confirmed last week that Nacua is in for an extended stay in a rehab center. Now, I don't know if this is for psychological things. I don't know if this is substance abuse or this is alcohol related, but I was alarmed. He was involved in 4 different incidents since Christmas time with just very erratic behavior. So that's one. The Rice story with a Kansas City wide receiver, I'm a little stunned at this because he had already been suspended 6 games for this drag racing incident where he left the scene of the accident and 6 people were injured a couple of years ago. And now he's being sued, and it's all out in public for over $1 million by his longtime fiancee for 8 years of domestic abuse and his photos and stuff. It's really a bad look. But the NFL's whitewashed him already. Usually the National Football League lets this thing run the course before it comes to its own decision after the law makes a decision. And at this point, they've whitewashed Rashee Rice. So I'm kind of a little bit surprised at that. And they got big trouble in Atlanta. Their top young defensive end, James Pierce, has been banned from their training camp. He was arrested on 3 different felonies for use of a violent action, running his car into the vehicle of his fiancée, a WNBA player, and then running his car at police officers who were trying to arrest him and got involved in a really bad fight. He's got 3 felonies, and he is now out. He's probably going to get suspended for maybe a year by the National Football League. So, yeah, there's guys that off the field, off season, get themselves in trouble. So we got a couple guys here. I'm concerned about Nacua because he's a hell of a player. He's been a real dynamic personality with the Rams football. But boy, this stuff that's happened since Christmas time with him as we now go into April, it's been pretty bizarre. So we need to get to the bottom of that.
Saw, listen, thank you so much for doing this. So happy that you're okay. Get some rest, get some relaxation. Excuse me. And I hope you enjoy the Masters. We got a crazy playoff race in the NHL in both the East and the West. Jets not dead yet. So have yourself a great sports weekend. And I wish we could just drop you off a couple 1919s to help that recovery go a little more smoothly on the weekend.
I could sign off with that with a few Tylenol. I'll be okay. It's just going to take some time. I got I got banged up. I don't know if you saw the pictures of my car. I put them on Twitter because people found out that I had gotten rocked. But I'll send them to you in email. You'll laugh. But
oh no, Lee. Well, trust me, I saw it right off the bat and replied right away. I was so happy when you sent a message back that you were still going to be there for the O Canada Network. So get horizontal back, or a second 9 of the Friday round is up right now. It should be a lot of fun. Have a great weekend, Lee. We'll talk to you soon. You take care, big guy.
Thanks, Hustler. Talk to you again.
Great. There it is. Yeah. At Hacksaw 1090 on X, if you want to see the aftermath of the photo. All right. We are going to do a quick segment on upcoming Labor Day and the GoFundMe for Wayne from Wayne's World out in Regina. Bomber fans, certainly who've made the trip are going to know about that, as well as if you want to join us for the Labor Day trip. Tara Maslowski's coming on in just a minute. Quick Breezy Bend Masters leaderboard update. Rory gave one back, and he's had a few pars. He leads at 7 under par, playing the par 5 8th right now. The bad guy, Patrick Reed, Jason Day, Justin Rose, all at 5 under. Rose has completed his round, so he's in the clubhouse. Big rounds today. Wyndham Clark, Tyrrell Hatton, Haotong Lee, they're all at 4. Tommy Fleetwood has gotten to 4 under as well. And then a group of 3 under pars, including Xander Schauffele, Max Homa, Ben Griffin, Brooks Koepka, and Masters rookie Chris Gotterup. All right. Exclamation mark marbles in the chat. We'll give you about 5 minutes or so. While we talk to Tara, we'll get that taken care of, and then we'll come back, give you a quick update on the Cool Bet lines, although there's no hockey games tonight. But I did put something together for tomorrow's results needed for the Winnipeg Jets. But first, big thanks to our friends at Breezy and Aikens Lake, and then Tara Maslowski joins us. Do want to thank our friends at Aikens Lake Wilderness Lodge for their great support of WST. Of course, if you are thinking of a incredible fly-in fishing experience where you can be on the water in less than 2 hours from the city of Winnipeg, Aikens Lake is the spot. And as incredible as the world-class fishing is, the scenes and the hospitality at Aikens Lake might even top that. Check out aikenslake.com for availability and options remaining for the 2026 fishing season. And make sure to tell Pitt when you're talking to him that the boys at WST sent you. And it is great to have our pals at Breezy Bend back. We got snow on the ground. It is not entirely, we're not ready to swing them just yet, but we will be, folks, very, very soon. And if you're looking for a long-term home at one of Winnipeg's top private courses, Breezy Bend Country Club is the spot. Beautiful course, incredible clubhouse renovations, course renovations over the last 10 years. Of course, they hosted the Manitoba Open. And for my money, the best greenskeeping crew and maintenance crew in the province. They're getting us ready for the upcoming season. We will see all of you out at Breezy Bend coming up this year, hosting the senior as well, which should be a big event a little bit later on. breezybend.ca for more information on that. Well, football season's not even here yet, but it's just around the corner, and we are already filling up the 1930 crew for the annual weekend in Regina at the Labor Day Classic. Let's welcome in our good friend of the program, Tara Maslowski, one of the organizers of the 1930 crew, as we get ready for Labor Day. How are you?
I'm great. I can't believe that we are about to kick off football season real soon. I think I saw the Bombers post that rookie camp starting in like the next week or something crazy. So it's coming up quick. I'm super excited. It's good to see you.
Let's go. It's great to see you too. Cannot wait. Man, the last couple of years have been so much fun as we've sort of built this and grown this. But, just before we dive in, we got some horrible news over the course of the last few weeks. I mean, any Bomber fan that has been to Regina over the last 20 years for the Labor Day game has probably been to Wayne's World, the most legendary tailgate party in the Canadian Football League. This goes back to 20 years ago when a Rider fan opened up his yard to a bunch of Bomber fans that may have had open cans and didn't want to get tickets. And it's turned into something that, to be honest, is what the CFL is all about. And Wayne Kuntz, the legendary Rider fan that opened up his yard to Bomber fans for 20 straight years, had a fire. And, that's really, I think we've seen what the CFL is all about with the outpouring of support for Wayne. But Bomber fans, as much as Rider fans, I think, feeling this, and everyone's seeing what they can do to help Wayne out.
Definitely. So like you said, that tailgate is legendary within the CFL. And I remember, 15 plus years ago going to Labor Day, and seeing that party and seeing what it's grown into over these last, it started in 2004, right? And here we are in 2026. And for those that know Wayne, he is the sweetest man, and just a tragic incident that happened. And we just spoke about it before we got on here, Huss, about how much money has been raised already for him, and seeing the fans come together throughout the CFL and seeing people leave comments from other CFL teams, and that one hit us hard, definitely, and we are trying to help in any way we can. The 1930 crew did make a donation to help him get back on his feet, and we're hoping that we see him when we head out there in September, because again, he is just the sweetest man, and anything anyone can do to help would be greatly appreciated.
Well, to be honest, that party was as much of the weekend as the game was. And part of the reason why this started obviously with the old Taylor Field, and even with Mosaic Stadium being, built blocks away, that's still the starting point for most Bomber fans for the day of the big game. Adam, if you want, you can just pull up that GoFundMe. We'll throw the link in the chat, and I know tons of Bomber fans have already supported, but I just wanted to bring this up because I know there's probably a lot of people out there that have enjoyed that party before, that have been part of Labor Day over the past 20 years, and are maybe just finding out about this now. So we're going to try and get Wayne's World rocking again, and give Wayne some support right now from all of his friends in blue and gold, because as much as we love the rivalry and want to stick it to the Riders every single time that the Bombers and Riders play, that party is kind of what, to me, Labor Day weekend in the CFL is all about. That it is great rivals coming together to have the best time, and that's a big reason why you guys started with the 1930 crew in the first place, and we're going bigger and better this year.
Oh gosh, Huss, we're back for year 3. We're bigger and better. Year 3, we're sending 3 buses this year. We are going all out this year. So the 1930 crew was established 3 years ago by Pat Rathwell, a longtime Bomber fan, and he brought aboard Jeffrey Bannon, who Bomber fans probably know. He used to run the retail store at the football club. And then they brought me on board to see how we can make this bigger and better. So here we are in year 3, and we truly believe this is more than just a bus trip. This is for the fans, by the fans, and we want to do what we can to elevate this experience for fans to come on board, so you're not just hopping a bus, doing your own thing, and coming back a couple days later. So the 1930 crew, we're all about the fans, for the fans, by the fans. So you can speak to this, Huss. Last year, we all meet at the Bomber Stadium. We load up the bus. We send you with a full stomach of breakfast. We got mimosas. We got the drinks flowing nice and early. We have giveaways on each bus. Last year, we gave away some autographed helmets. I love that photo so much. We gave autographed helmets and autographed jerseys. We brought you on board, some VIP hosts to kind of, get the party going on the way down. We get there. We treat you guys to dinner. We have a VIP dinner on the Saturday night that we treat you guys to just all be together and hang out as a crew. There's the bus, fully packed, super fun. And then, like you said, we get to Wayne's World on the Sunday. Everybody parties, has a good time. And then we go to the game and we all have a great time. It's more than just getting on the bus and driving you down to Regina. Jeffrey's awesome. Pat's awesome. You have been so incredible. We brought Darren from Bonfire Sports, Zach Schnitzer, Carter Chan, the content creator. We've established a team here, and we're super proud of it. And last year when we sold out 2 buses last year. I had people reaching out saying, I want to come, put me on the wait list. I want to go. So, the hype is there, and I am happy to announce that we are 50% sold out. So we have one bus completely full. The second one is nearing capacity. So we're almost sold out of that one. So we have one more to go. And I can say that I've been getting messages every day inquiring and people sending in deposits. So don't wait if you've been thinking about it. There's the yummy food from Four Seasons there. Don't wait if you've been thinking about it. All we require now is $100. $100 deposit secures your spot, and we're super flexible with payment plans up until we depart, really. So this is the time to get on. It is quite the trip. I promise you, you will have the time of your life. Labor Day is just such a good time. You know, I went, how old was I? 15 maybe when I went to my first Labor Day. And just to see what it's grown and turned into is just so cool. And just all the Bomber fans and, you know, the friendly rivalry and everybody just comes together. Like, look how much fun that is, right? Look at us in the stands having a blast. So again, if you've been thinking about it, reach out, definitely.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I give you guys so much credit for the way you guys have organized it, because I've done, you know, a number of these things before, and this one was, I mean, you guys put so much into it, like to have everyone greeting everyone there and getting them breakfast as we get ready to take off. I mean, it just sets the tone. And I'll give Pat, Pat Rathwell, who is also a very loyal WSTer and could very well be in the chat right now, talking it up to everybody. The spirit of the Bomber fans is never been more on display than with this crew. Now, one of the other great things and why we wanted to do this today is because we did have early bird pricing, and we're sort of passing that on to WSTers. You didn't have to be on the trip last year up until April 15th. So the key is, especially with the buzz and the amount of people that are jumping in on it right now, make your plans, drop your $100 deposit before April 15th. You get locked in on that early bird and last year's price. And as I said, I think we had 2 last year, going to 3 this year. And one other thing I should mention, having done this, you know, with Gary beforehand in our old radio days and being on a couple of other ones, maybe the best part about it all, in addition to everything that the organizers have set up, is just where we stayed. I mean, the first couple times we went in and we were like way out on the outskirts of Regina, and then we're cabbing in and we're ripping around. I mean, we were right there in downtown, like a block or 2 walk to most of those bars in downtown Regina, to Crave, where the Bombers do their big hosting and Wade gets everyone a beer. So, I mean, the convenience of everything was amazing as well. I have no doubt that this one is going to be bigger and better than ever before, but I'm glad we were able to get you on, you know, before that early bird deadline and try and get a few more folks in there. I know there's been lots of talk in the chat over the last little bit going, oh, I really want to do that this year. Well, gang, now is the do it. So how do they, where do they get in touch with you guys to make sure they count themselves in before we fill that third bus?
Definitely. So we are on all social media. So the 1930 crew, or you can send us an email, the1930crew@gmail.com. We would be happy to secure your spot. Like you said, we are extending that early bird pricing to Winnipeg Sports Talk. So you have until April 30th. We are extending it for your loyal listeners and viewers.
Oh, nice.
So April 30th is early bird pricing. So again, $100 deposit. That's all you have to worry about right now. Get yourself on that bus. And like you said, I know we talked about it last year too. Like, all you really need to do is just show up, and Jeffrey, Pat, myself, you, Carter, Darren, Schnitzy, we take care of everything else. You know, you get the ride, you get the game ticket, you get the accommodations, you get the dinner, you get the booze, you get the giveaways. It's just such a good time, and it's something I look forward to every year. So again, the 1930 crew on all socials, or send us an email at the1930crew@gmail.com and tell them you want to get on the Huss bus.
Yes, for sure. Yeah, WSTers, especially those of you, some of my associates from some of our fun nights throughout hockey season. Yeah, make sure to just let them know.
We had a few WST people join last year, and they were great. They were such a good time. So I'm hoping that, you know, more of your listeners and viewers come on board. It is such a great time.
Well, there's a lot of them that enjoy a good time, and I can tell you that this is most definitely that. Again, the1930crew@gmail.com. Fire an email over there. Check them out on socials. Count yourself in during April to lock in the early bird pricing. And as I said, I think as we push this, so we're going to, and the excitement of football season starting, we're going to get this sold out quite early this year. Tara, thanks so much for doing this. Cannot wait for football season, and I cannot wait for Labor Day.
Thanks for having me on, Huss. And again, thank you so much for coming on board as a VIP host. We appreciate you more than you know, and just bringing everyone on and having a good time. So we're super excited you're back, and we're very much looking forward to September.
Great time with Bomber fans at Labor Day weekend. Yeah, twist my rubber arm. We'll see you then. Thanks, Tara.
Thanks, Andrew.
All right, cannot wait for that. And let's get it on. Yeah, Tyson, I know you're 1-10. Let's make it 2-10 this year. I'm fired up for Bomber season, and I'm always, regardless of the record, fired up for Labor Day. Jay Miller, is there a Remo ride? I don't know whether we'll be able to get Remo away from the fam for a long weekend. However, I think we are going to be drafting Mr. Hrabchak to make his debut. You've never been to Labor Day before, have you?
Yeah, my record is 0-0, Huss. I've never done it. And that conversation has me sold. It looks like an absolute blast.
Yeah, well, we'll make arrangements to get you in the mix for this one as well. I'm really looking forward to it. So get on that. All right, we're just about ready to go with the marbles. And again, shout out to Adam's been killing it the entire week into last week. Well, Remo's been gallivanting around the world. He will be back on Monday. Looking forward to having him back on the show. But both Connor, but Adam as well. And it looks like we're going to be able to get to marbles in just a minute. I do want to get over to Coolbet, though. Now, there's no real discussion of the tonight because there's no games in the NHL tonight. But we do have Blue Jays action. Jays are at home and trying to start a winning streak after a pretty ugly week that at least squeezed out a 1 win against the Dodgers. They're at home to the Twins tonight, minus 143 favorites. Twins are plus 117. I'll be honest, with all this talk about all this pitching, I'm looking at the starting pitchers today. When did the Jays get Patrick Corbin? I don't know how that was sort of like under the radar.
Yeah, it was like, as we know, they have so many injuries right now to their pitching staff, and Corbin has he was great a couple years ago. He's fallen out of favor. So they brought him in on a league minimum, like, oh, this guy has a working left arm, let's bring him in kind of thing. And now he's starting. So here we go.
Jays tonight, if you want to get on that, minus 143. The Bluebirds boost over at Coolbet is Jays to win and Vlad to get a hit. That's boosted from plus 126 to plus 172. But in the exclusives, just on the main page, Adam, if you just want to click on sports, you'll see it. I have put together the not dead yet. It's in the combo cards right on the main page. There you see it. Not dead yet. Manifesting good things tomorrow. This is what we need. And if we can cash a ticket at the same point, let's do it. Edmonton to beat LA. Minnesota to beat Nashville. And the Jets to beat Philly. That is boosted from plus 498 to plus 572. So the not dead yet Jets parlay. Edmonton, Minnesota, Winnipeg for tomorrow. Shout out to Jake and Pat for getting a nice boost and getting it up there. It is there right now. The other thing that I will tell you, and you might want to pay attention to all week, we do have live odds for the Masters throughout the action on the weekend. Right now, Rory McIlroy is your favorite at plus 180. Man, the two guys that I've backed, Tommy Fleetwood, Xander Schauffele, next up, plus 850. Justin Rose, 10-1. Patrick Reed, 12-1. 20-1 for Jason Day. 28-1 for Koepka and Scotty Scheffler. There'll be some people jumping on Scotty, I guarantee, at that number. And then Tyrrell Hatton and Shane Lowry at 30-1. And just a quick look at the leaderboard before we get to marbles. Rory's still in first at 7 under par. Rose and Reed are at 5. And Tommy Fleetwood and Xander Schauffele have both joined the group at 4 under par. So good things happening. It should be a wild weekend at Augusta National. All right, Connor, you ready for some marbles to finish up the week?
Yeah, we held marbles back last week from people, so it's been a little extra. It's been an extra week, but hey, credit to Adam behind the scenes. Absolutely crushed it this week, and now we have marbles. This is awesome.
Yes, we have much to be thankful for with our guy, Adam. So let's do it. I think, unfortunately, apologies to the Tristan Rivers music fans. The theme songs are all on Remus's computer. We'll have those last week.
You can sing.
Yeah. I don't listen. It's been a great show so far. We're not going to ruin it by us singing "It's Friday." Well, you know it. If you guys can all sing it yourself if you want. But let's get to it. We're going into. I'm just going to see when we get the screen up. We're sort of running blind. Oh, the Rusty Remnant. We got 188 marbles to finish off the week. Again, huge work by Adam to make this happen. That's sort of a Remus thing. So the fact that we're able to do it, we are greatly appreciative of. Good luck to everybody. I'm in. I use my phone thing, so I think I'm in as Hustlerama today. But good luck to you all. Let's get some good vibes going into a big Saturday for the Jets, for all of our Masters picks. It is on. Let's drop the marbles and begin the race on WST. Here we go. The Rusty Remnant. Eagle Eyes and 22 Canuck. Great to see you at the Poker Eagle Eyes on Wednesday. Shout out to everyone that joined us. I didn't get to really peacock very much that I actually won the bounty on Jeff Hamilton yesterday on the program. I kind of missed my opportunity to do that. Our next run is going to be May 13th. All right, Scott Knack and the Running Man, son of Dirk, in the mix right now. Son of Dirk was also in the tourney. There's the Dream, James Stevenson. What's up, Jamie? But Scott Knack, WST legend, Isha Boy Bruce in the mix as well. Here we go. Now, on the far side, it looks like Wilf's World is making things happen. We're now getting back in to the same spot. Scott Nactigal, who's going to be the first one down that gets into the hopper? It looks like it's Isha Boy. He is in first place right now, along with Bentham. My DeMarte's right there. The big question is who's getting out first. It looks like it's Wilf's World and Pretty and Pionk as we move down the Rusty Remnant. Great camera work by Adam as well. We're seeing the lead pack very well. Son of Dirk has now come into the third spot. Pretty and Pionk just rolled right through that obstacle and now has a pretty nice lead. S-Tune Norm has also entered the chat. Waiters, Dallas Pauls. Dallas, what's up? Not sure if you're still in Japan or not. But Pretty and Pionk with the lead. Chased by Waiters, 22 Canuck, S2 Norm, and Dallas Pauls are our top five as we continue down through the Rusty Remnant. Pretty and Pionk going to the straight side. Let's see if there's any advantage on either's. The other contenders are moving down the bottom side. I think Pretty and Pionk has a pretty nice spot here, but we'll see. Waiters. Look at Waiters go. This is quite the race right now. Waiters has jumped into the lead and looks to have the pole position right now. Now, will we be able to get through all of these pegs that are plopping up? XX Revolution and Wilf's World are on the chase right now. Waiters still in first place, but he just hit a ball. 22 Canuck at the end. Waiters as well. I think we're coming close to the final. Into the drop, and who will it be? 22 Canuck, 19. Wow. Well done. Waiters, 27 in second place. XOG in third. Wilf's World. Frosty Winnipeg, 5. Stem in 6th. Mike Thiessen, 7th. K. Shockey in 8th. Pretty and Pionk finished 9th. And Greg M. rounds out our top 10. Now, many of you, like myself, have a side wager or two with friends. There, I just went in. We will just get, as soon as the race is over, and we'll run through the listings so you can just see where you finished. The big question is, will people be getting burned? It looks like there's going to be some heat coming. And that is it for a number of you that just didn't make it in. But congratulations, 22 Canuck winner. I think 22 Canucks won before, if I'm not mistaken. Nice work. Congratulations. What a way to start the weekend with Connor. That was quite the race. Great camera work by Adam. Yeah. Excellent track choice, which was all him. And a race that had, probably about a dozen different leaders, and there was 22 Canuck. Long time Marbles participant getting in at the wire.
Yes, congrats to 22 Canuck.
Here's all the
22 Canuck. Yes, here's the leaderboard.
As we go through, you can find out yourself as to where you finished. Tristan Rivers Music. There's Bozeman. He got in at 97. I think that's enough to beat me, if I'm not mistaken. I was sort of towards the end. There's Gary Labossiere. There's Tyson D. Yeah, 139. Sean, you got me today, buddy. Royal Sports Warranty. There's a new one. New Royal Sports individual. Ray OG. There's everyone that finished. Jeff Johnson, the last one over. And then right to the bottom, everyone that either got burned by the fire at the end or was unfortunately thrown over the top rope. Great marbles race to finish the show. Thanks again to Adam for making that happen. So Connor, how you feeling about the weekend? First of all, how do you feel about the not dead yet parlay tomorrow of Jets, Oilers, and Minnesota Wild? Like, we really need that to happen to have a lot of legitimate excitement going into that game on Monday, because the Kings need a loss before they go on that final road trip.
For sure, because of how soft that road trip is. I'm feeling good about it. I think the toughest part of it is actually the Jets. I'd expect the Wild to beat the Preds. I think the Oilers can take care of business with the Kings. I did see Connor Ingram get hurt the other night, so how much faith do you have in Tristan Jarry, who's probably going to be starting for the Oilers? He hasn't been great, so maybe there's a question mark there. But Jets, Flyers, two desperate teams Saturday night. It's going to be awesome. I can't wait for Sunday Live on Sunday morning, 9 a.m. Liz and I are going to be firing it up. So much is going to change between now and then. There's not even any hockey games tonight. It's all tomorrow. So I'm looking forward to that. It's going to be a great weekend. Settle back, watch the Jays tonight, and then Jets tomorrow. It's going to be great.
Yeah, well, there's nothing I love more than finishing the Friday show of Masters Week and immediately just turning my head and diving in for the second nine, as they call it, at Augusta National. And my guy Xander and Tommy Fleetwood are making a run right now. So this could be very fun for those of us that were backing those dudes as we went in. We'll announce the winner of the WST pool. Shout out to everyone that entered on Monday's show. Put something together. I'll get Patty and Jake to give us some stuff from our friends over at CoolBet. And as I say, the number is even better now. When this one dropped, it was plus 552. And I'm not sure which of the lines have moved, but it's now plus 572. So maybe a little top up on that. Feeling very positive. And for everyone joining us tomorrow for WST, if you want to get in early, you can do it, I believe, starting at 4:30. You got to come in the Hargrave doors. We'll be in the craft beer corner to start off. And then if you're at the game, pop by beforehand. And if not, around the intermission with their seats in section 316, I would imagine the majority of people, if you want to connect with myself, I know Brandon's going to pop by. We'll be in the corner bar, the hangar, which is right in the corner, basically the Hargrave and Graham corner around section 316. Going to be a fun weekend and a fun day. And then Sunday, no Jets game. We kick back, watch the final round of the Masters. And then, Connor, it is go time. Hopefully still with, lots to talk about Monday and Tuesday, Vegas and Utah, as the Jets try to run the gauntlet and get to the 16th of April with playoff hopes still alive.
Yeah, credit to the Jets. They've made these games mean something. We've got 4 left, 3 of which are against playoff opponents for the Winnipeg Jets in Philly. Well, Philly, we'll see if they end up being a playoff opponent, but they are right now. Vegas and Utah on the road, and then back home again for the San Jose Sharks. So I'm looking forward to it, Huss. I did not think these games would mean anything down the stretch, but here we are. And as Waiters is pointing out in chat, the 100-point chase for Mark Scheifele could be tomorrow night, Huss. with the way Mark Scheifele is playing right now, I'd venture to say it will be tomorrow night against the Philadelphia Flyers that we see Mark Scheifele hit 100. And that'll be a special moment for him and a special moment for the franchise for sure.
How about this call for tomorrow night? Maybe I should do a Jets win. Scheifele gets his 100th point. Gabe Vilardi scores his 30th.
Ooh.
And then we'll see
that?
if we can keep things going on with the Kyle Connor getting a couple and getting to 40 as well. Personal milestones are nice, and we'll talk about them. Scheifele's had an unbelievable career year, but hopefully there's still something going for the team when we get to Monday's show. Listen, huge thanks to all. One more why not question of the day for Not Autocorp at Waverly and McGillivray as we leave. And let us know in the chat, will the team still be alive on Monday when we fire up WST at 1 p.m. or Sunday morning when Connor and Liz are live with WST Sunday Live, 9 a.m. We'll see. Let us know your thoughts. I mean, at this point, come this far, let's keep it rolling. Get a win tomorrow night. Maybe a little bit of help. Go Oilers, go Wild. And it could be a very fun Monday show as the Jets head out to Vegas and Utah before finishing it up Thursday against the San Jose Sharks. Gang, that is going to do it for us. Connor, great stuff all week long. We've had so much fun doing the show with you. Huge thanks to Adam Smithniak, who killed it. Remus will be back on Monday. Looking forward to getting him in. The three of us will break down the weekend and get you ready for games 81 and 82 of the NHL regular season, or actually 80 and 81. 82 is going to be on the 16th. That's going to do it for us. Thanks to Tara Maslowski, Lee Hacksaw Hamilton, Ken Weeb, Brandon Rewucki, Connor, and Adam, and all of you for making us a part of your day. And, of course, a huge thanks to the sponsors that make Winnipeg Sports Talk happen. For the entire crew here at WST, have yourself a great weekend. Enjoy the Masters, the games tomorrow. We'll see you Monday. And don't forget, 9 a.m. on Sunday, listen Connor with WST Sunday Live. Have a great one.
Oh, my God. Oh! Shut it down. Let's go home.
Thanks for tuning in to Winnipeg Sports Talk Daily. Make sure to subscribe on YouTube and your favorite podcast feed at winnipegsportstalk.com.